is live.
Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves, is ready to go. Talking to people you want to know. Face to face, one-on-one. Get the story and have some fun with Rhett Palmer.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
Makeup. Can't help this face anymore. How you doing, folks? Good to have you here. I'm Rhett Palmer. 29 years on the air, harassing people just like you. You can hear us on YouTube. You can hear us on Facebook. You can say, Alexa, open Vero's voice. I wonder how many Alexas just opened up. Alexa, open Vero's voice. We have former U.S. diplomat David Hunter in the studio. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Rhett.
We have world-known entrepreneur James Feeney in here. How you doing, James?
I'm doing great, Rhett.
He has his own blog, by the way, which is called?
It's called the Locally Grown Podcast.
The Locally Grown Pot. The Podcast. That's not a bad idea, the podcast. I bet you there's one like that. But
I don't know.
I locally grown, though. He refuses to listen to me. As a marketing guy who ran an ad agency for years, you got to change. What would you think? Locally grown. It's about pot, right? No, it's not. It's about locally grown politics.
Locally grown government.
Locally grown government,
Yep.
which is a very necessary thing. It's actually an important role, and it's messages you need to get out there.
More important than ever.
You know? Matter of fact, you might consider this for dum-dums like me who don't understand the process. Why don't you have a little series, maybe they're 10 minutes each, on how to become a governor, how to become a senator, how to become a congressman, how to become a local commissioner, how to become a local mayor, how to fiend that you're mayor of the airways for 29 years. People go, call you mayor.
That's right.
I'm up in Canada. People stop me. Hey, it's the mayor. It's the mayor. Oh, honey. Hey, this lady goes, it's the mayor. I'm up at Toronto Airport. Well, I'm not really the mayor, sir. I'm the mayor of the airways. I gave myself the title. We got a lot to discuss, though, gentlemen, about world affairs. Why is Biden administration shipping additional fighter jets and bombs to Israel in the light of what just happened the other day? IDF's second Al-Shifa hospital raid. Ooh, that's not good. Israel F-25 jets fire missiles at Iran's embassy in Damascus. Israel jets fire missiles at World Central. You know, so you always lead. You are anti-Israel. You've become anti-Israel.
No.
Yeah.
Let me explain
I think
this.
you have a devilish spirit within you.
Let me-
Hates Israel.
No, let me-
God's apple of the eye.
This has been what I call a horrendous week. It's a horrendous week for Israel
Yeah.
and for the Gazan people and for America.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound flip
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we really do have lives in the balance. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be light,
Yeah.
trying to be happy, trying to be
Right.
some goofy guy.
Yeah.
When in fact,
No,
You know.
I wish that I didn't have to cover this. There was actually the issue of Indian elections coming up, and I wanted to talk about that. But there's so much crowding out that with what's happening in Israel, it is bad, and going to worse. And the complications involve America being one.
well, he said he wasn't going to stop until Hamas was gone.
Yeah,
and
well, Biden could stop with his additional arms to
so
Israel.
really, he's saying one thing to the voters so he can be reelected. But he's saying no, they shouldn't do that. On the other hand, writing a check for how much? How many billion?
Well, yeah, Israel has this annual allotment from the U.S. taxpayers of $3.5 billion a year.
billion.
That's more than the entire.
I just want 3.5 million. That's all.
That's more than the entire. Keep in mind, that's more than the entire amount that we supply to Africa, to Asia, and to South America. More.
Yeah.
Just Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are they using it for? For weapons. Okay. And why are they using these weapons? If they were using for self-defense, meaning to protect themselves against possible threats from Iran, and that's what we're going to talk about in this arms shipment. That would be a slightly different situation. But what they've been using, why they need the resupply of weapons, is because they've dropped them all on Gaza.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And why did they drop them on Gaza? What triggered that?
Well, no, it's not what triggered it.
Oh,
It's-
it's
No,
no,
this
wait a
what-
minute.
This is what
Wait a
gets
minute.
lost in
You
the
can't
It's
effort.
just ignore
it is not.
that.
It's
So-
like if somebody fired a bullet through your window, you drop a nuclear bomb on them.
But
no,
you never
don't.
want to say
You don't.
what happened.
This
I
is-
get it. I
No,
get
no,
you.
this
But
is-
you want.
no, David. If someone fired
A
20,
bullet.
20 bullets through your window
And killed a
and
couple of
killed your family,
You don't drop a nuclear bomb on them.
Well, first of all, you won't have a nuclear bomb.
I
What you
would.
have,
Israel has
you
dropped
go
the
get your gun and you go shoot
Israel.
them.
Israel has dropped the equivalent of 2 nuclear bombs on Gaza. The equivalent of explosive.
all right.
No,
to-
that
to-
would
to-
have killed
to-
hundreds of thousands of people. That when that bomb went in Hiroshima, would have killed 150,000 people.
Well, they have killed.
That's
they've
not
killed,
two
they've
atomic
killed
bombs.
30,000.
30,000.
So it's not an
Mostly
atomic
women,
bomb.
Mostly women and children.
Mostly half of them are militants.
No.
There are unfortunate civilian casualties, but the ratio of civilian casualties
Half
to
of them
the-
are militants of the 30,000.
maybe 40%.
Really?
But Hamas doesn't distinguish between that because they and the problem here. I get what David is saying. We're going to go through all this. It's important.
Yeah.
But Israel did not start this war. Number one, and Hamas and the Arabs that support them and the Muslims that support them can stop this tomorrow by telling Hamas to come out of their bunkers.
All right. Let me ask you this.
Surrender
though.
unconditionally and release the hostages.
Sure.
All of it's
Let
done.
me right in the middle here. Let me ask you this. No one's ever
Yeah.
said this. Okay, so what he'll do is then he'll say, "Oh no, they didn't start the war, even though they attacked them. That
It's been an
primary
ongoing
crime
since
of nukes is
1947.
tainting the blast zone, which Israel didn't do." Okay, that's Noah back there doing a little research. Thank you, Mala. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But what was I going to say? Oh, so okay, let's go back now. He will refute you saying that Hamas was not the first one to attack, that Israel attacked by
Being
shutting
there.
off the valve, not allowing food, and
Well, why
letting
don't
it
you-
be
why don't
let
you
it let it
ask
be
me?
a
Why don't you
prison.
ask
Hold on,
me?
let me say what I want to say,
Yeah,
and then
you're
you can
telling
say
me what I'm saying. That's
That's a specialty.
his specialty. Is that called an interview?
no, it's called arrogance. It's the height of hubris.
That's
you know?
right.
Don't you hate that?
Now, what do you
well,
tell
they do it on the news all the time. They say Trump is doing this because he thinks this. I go,
Hey, then what do you
who
think,
are you
Joe?
to judge someone's heart? You know. But anyway,
Yeah.
So the point is, so what? So if we go back to the genesis of all this, what could have been done? I don't know. What could have been done? All I know is that I remember seeing Israeli people crying, some Muslims, some
Yeah,
Jews,
yeah.
crying, going, "We have to. They're making us leave our farm in the Gaza, right?"
Yeah, but do you remember the people at 1947, the Nakba, the people that were forced out by Israelis when Israel took over that land? You're not seeing their tears. Why are you only seeing the Israelis'
Well, why don't we go
tears?
back to the tears of the people that came in, the Romans who kicked the Jews out way back when,
Well,
that beat up that killed the children.
okay, we do have a fundamental.
I mean, how far back do we go?
Well, and we should understand that as an audience out there. We should understand that.
Yes.
This did not happen out of a vacuum. Jim is suggesting. I'm not putting words in his mouth, but it sounds like he's suggesting.
That's
that
very
this-
good. He corrected himself.
That this
to that.
happened. That this happened just out of the blue.
Otherwise,
that
you would have
Hamas-
gotten the bell.
That Hamas woke up one day and decided, let's go and attack a bunch of
Yeah, no,
kibbutzes.
no,
You know,
no.
that's not how it happened.
understand.
In fact,
Okay, but let's say they didn't do that.
They
What
had
would?
a
Okay, hold
reason.
on.
They
Let's
had a
say,
reason
are
for
you?
doing
No. There's no reason
There
for
is a
raping.
reason
No.
for it.
There's no reason for that.
Okay.
That's the wrong thing.
No, he's
That's
established
like
an important
I'm
premise.
establishing a
what could
parameter.
they
There's
have
an
done?
important-
No, listen, you're not listening to me. What could they have done to rebel against the? Let's say Israel was abusing them. What could have they done that was nonviolent? What would Mahatma Gandhi done? What would Martin Luther King have
The
done?
Palestinians,
How could have they
the
protested?
Palestinians have been engaged in what I call peace talks, combined with small rebellions such as the Intifadas, over a period of 20 years. The Israelis have kept dragging out this promise of a two-state.
But what about
Menachem?
Menachem Begin offered them 50-50 down the line. Do you remember that?
It's not 50-50.
Yep, and they said no.
Yeah, they said
Yasser
no.
Arafat, they were
Okay.
offered
You
a
sow
two-state-
into the wind,
they
you
were
reap the
offered
whirlwind.
The best deal they've ever hit. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, and it's gone. And they've had two-state solution. Not I wouldn't say offers, but let's be clear. They were offered a two-state solution. The head of the PLO at the time, Yasser Arafat, himself a terrorist, rejected it because the only solution is no Israel.
For
That's
instance,
in their charter.
I'll talk your language. You and I start a business together. We're going to make these beautiful.
Wait a minute.
Hold, let me
He's
say what I'm
wrong.
going to
He's
say.
wrong.
Hold on a second.
No,
We're making this cup together. We own a business, 50-50. And he comes to me and says, well, my wife doesn't like you, Rhett. We want to buy you out. And I go, I'm not buying out. No, we want to buy you out. We'll give you, look at, the business is worth $10 million. We'll give you $5.5 million. You walk away. Okay? No, I'm not going to do it. Now it's 5 years later, and Jim doesn't show up to work. He says, "Well, we started our own cup business. You can't do that. You can't say." Yes, we can. You wouldn't sell out your half, but I'll take the 550 net, 5.5 million now.
Okay.
No, it's too late.
You guys are completely off track. You don't know your history. The Yasser Arafat deal was not the first deal that was made. There were lots of deals made before that.
All rejected.
I go all the way. Wait a minute, all the way back to the Peel Commission.
Were they all rejected?
The Peel Commission in the 1930s.
But were they rejected?
Was rejected by the Arabs, and then the British looked at the Peel Commission and realized that the Peel Commission proposal was
fair.
Was not a fair deal
Why?
in the first place.
Why?
Because of the way they divided the land. Now, in the same situation, you had the Oslo Accord. You remember the Oslo Accord, 1993, all right? And that was a proposal for a peace deal which included a establishment of an Israeli state and a Palestinian state. And guess what happened? The next year, very soon after that, and that was done by Yitzhak Rabin, okay? Yitzhak Rabin and the Palestinians made this deal in 1993. It was called the Oslo Peace Accord. And in 1994, a guy named Baruch Goldstein walked into the temple, not the temple, the tomb of Abraham.
Okay.
The tomb of Abraham near in the West Bank.
And who is this guy?
Rabin was a
Rabin.
He's a right wing.
No, not Rabin. No. Goldstein.
Goldstein
Was a doctor who was also a reserve Israeli military, and he walked in with his uniform on, carrying a gun, and shot 23 praying Muslims in the tomb of Abraham. Slaughtered them.
And what did he say was
cold-blooded
his?
murder.
Obviously, murder
He was
is
angry.
God says thou shalt not
He was
kill.
angry at.
But that doesn't mean all the Jews
He was
felt that
angry.
way.
He was angry at the Rabin government for having signed the Oslo Accord.
Oh,
He
I
did not
see.
like
Right.
the Oslo Accord because the Oslo Accord was, in his view, giving away land of God-given Israel.
So this one guy,
This guy started-
just like there have been nuts in America that have shot doctors to commit abortions.
Yes.
I don't think you should murder to stop murder.
Well-
could you pull the trigger on a murderer? I
Yeah.
think as long as somebody's alive, they've got time to repent.
Well,
Give them 80 years in jail before
Goldstein-
they die. Maybe they'll really come to know the Lord. That's my own opinion.
Goldstein actually claimed that he was acting under God's blessing to kill all these people. Now, what happened after that? The Hamas decided to start a suicide bombing campaign in revenge for the slaughter that he had done on all of these innocent Arabs. Okay, so that's what kicked off.
So he
this,
started the rules of the game.
And
you're
therefore,
saying.
who was the first terrorist? Mr. Goldstein was the first
Mr.
terrorist.
Hold on.
But
I
David,
doubt
they were-
Mr. Goldstein was the first terrorist.
No, I'm saying in this
totally.
particular feud,
I
he was the
remember
first
the
one.
whole formation of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or the PLO, was an organization, a terrorist organization led by Yasser Arafat, who's no longer with us, thank God. You know, that evolved to be kind of a semi-terrorist diplomat. Lots of smiles, Yasser Arafat, a little fat guy running around with a turban. And he, in the 1970s, took over, hijacked an Israeli airliner, right?
And
at gunpoint, killed people, but eventually got knocked off. And there have been subsequent efforts at that.
Was that the Entebbe?
Entebbe.
The Entebbe in
Yeah,
Africa.
raided Entebbe. So that was long before the Oslo Accords. When Israel was established after the Holocaust, after 6.5 million Jews were slaughtered mechanistically by the Germans, and they have
And
had
why don't
nowhere
our
to
young
go.
people know about
They've
this
been on
today?
diaspora for hundreds of centuries.
What's diaspora mean?
diaspora? I mean, you're
The
thrown out of
wandering,
your
the
home.
wandering Jew.
Oh,
The
yes.
wandering Jew.
Right.
Yeah.
Diaspora, and they've
Diaspora.
tried. They've gone to different countries. They've assimilated themselves in Poland and Eastern Europe and Russia. Every single time pogroms, they are discriminated against. They are eliminated. It was a great decision to give them really what was
Their
their
own land.
their homeland. Right now,
He will debate that.
You could argue that it could have been done better, certainly, and there certainly was
It
displacement.
could have been Texas.
Sure, and it could have been
Texas.
Actually,
Texas is offering a portion.
actually,
Manitoba would have been.
No,
great
wait a
for
minute, wait a minute.
Canadians.
There was it wasn't just a proposal. There was an actual implementation in Galveston, Texas, in the 1920s to settle the Israelis
Who's
in
the comedian?
in
Billy
Galveston.
Crystal. I
In
can just
Galveston.
see Billy Crystal. Oh, there, y'all.
No, wait a
Now we're
minute.
going to start the fire and get the cattle over
Because-
here. I
because
just
there
don't
was-
think it's apropos for the typical Jew.
The point was there were pogroms, as Jim points
pretty
out.
racist.
No, wait, as Jim points out, there were pogroms going on, especially in Eastern Europe, and therefore the people were trying to get out of those areas, and they were trying to find a safe place. And Uganda was a proposal as well.
But David, the only I have Jewish friends. I have Jewish friends that live in Israel, and non-Jewish friends married to
I
Jewish
have
girls.
Jewish friends.
I got a
Right.
couple of black friends here.
And they
Chinese,
are,
too.
They are a rabble-rousing democracy, just like ours, where their Israel, where the country is split down the middle between conservatives and liberals, just like
us.
Right. But there's consensus among all of them, and we're talking
wait, so-
left wing, right wing. They have it all, just like that we have. But there's no place they can go. This is their country. They're dug in. They all understand the existential threat around them. They all understand the history, and even with that, there's a lot of pressure inside Israel to stop the war, getting the hostages
Even
back.
by Jews.
Right. But what they all
And there's some Muslims
hold
within
on.
the country
But
that
what they all say and agree on is that they need to finish Hamas, and they're there to defend their country. The ones that hate Netanyahu and would never vote against him, they still support the effort around the
Now
world.
let me say
So I'm just
something.
level
Okay.
setting
Okay.
where
Hold
the
on.
Jewish people
Okay.
are.
Now I want you two to breathe for a second. So a week ago,
This is good radio.
a week
isn't it?
ago, a week ago, I went to synagogue. I'm sorry. What they did is there's
Fort
a,
Pierce, yeah.
actually Port St. Lucie,
St. Lucie, yeah.
and it's a beautiful temple, and they brought back a Torah which had been captured by the Germans. They captured hundreds and hundreds of. This one ended up.
Ancient Torah, yeah.
Yeah, ended up back the rabbi down there, the singing rabbi who was a cantor, and they couldn't get a cantor, so the cantor took over. Now he sang the whole service. By the way, anyway, I show up, guards outside the side. This is in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and they got guards because of that's the Jews. And then I come inside, and there's some little old Jewish man. Maybe it was a little bit, in spirit. I mean, humbly playing his not a violin, a cello or a
It doesn't
viola,
matter. A stringed
and the other,
instrument.
thank you, and again, his wife, I presume, was playing the piano, and it was like out of a Steven Spielberg movie. And then I'm Mr. Emotional. I cry and I go, "What happened to these people?" And they also handed us, I won't say what, but it's by the FBI, and they handed us a certain weapon to use should they come in and attack us while we're in the synagogue. And this is no way for the Jews to have to live. We're in America. And what's happened is I ran into a 24-year-old. Where do you get the really good sweaters? It was at the mall down in Palm Beach. But anyway,
Crew.
no, see, better than that. Like the ones that are really soft and they're expensive.
Cashmere.
Yeah, I get the. It's
Is
a.
that,
You
is,
know
is
that-
that germane to this discussion?
No, not really.
I'm just
Probably.
trying to really
But this
analyze.
young man is selling these things. It's
Unless
really
you can
it
get
doesn't
in and
matter.
get out of
Was
the
it a
joke. You got
Thursday?
5
Or,
seconds.
was it a Thursday or was it a Tuesday? Duh. Anyway, he said he's 24. He said we're not being taught. We have not been taught history. They haven't been taught about the. Remember what? Let me finish it with this. Eisenhower was a general before he was the president. He was the first guy on the scene at Dachau. He says, "Gentlemen, take pictures of this, take film of this." They didn't have video back then. Take film of this because
video.
this is what he said, quote unquote. No, they didn't have video back then. They had
did.
video. Not in World War II.
They're-
They said, let me just finish this. To get us on. Was it Tuesday or was it
There's a whole video
Thursday?
about Auschwitz
Okay.
called The Fog. It's all done in French.
It's
And
on
you could-
film.
It is filmed. Whole video showing
No,
actual.
video is tape. Digital. Let me finish my story.
No, they
so
have- Okay, whatever.
okay, listen to me. So anyway, Eisenhower is there, and he says, "Video this." Because some son of a bitch is going to come along in the future and say that
didn't
Auschwitz
happen.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which was very.
True.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
can we get back on topic?
Well,
I'd like
this is
to
all part of it. Here's what I want.
No, it is part
I'll
of it.
ask one question.
This is
I'll ask
actually
one
the
question.
preface.
When you came in here,
Yeah.
better than a little towards 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, a diplomat. Well, this
Right.
is a guy that's like a negotiator, like a lawyer who's supposed to be when you go into mediation with something. And I figure they must have special skills.
That's one
I'm not
flavor.
so sure that he does, but I'm not so sure because what I expect from him is to come in and go, here are these guys, here are these guys, and I thought a diplomat would come up with a solution,
If I get
not
a
just
chance
stop
to,
the
if
war.
I get a chance to speak,
Okay,
you might
now
actually
the
figure
floor
that out.
is yours,
Well,
Mr.
thank
Diplomat.
You. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
How can we bring about peace?
After we have warmed up the audience a bit with this the dialogue about who
Everyone sweating yet?
Noah's in there yelling at us.
the
I don't know,
dialogue
probably at me.
about who started it. You know, that's the typical
Right.
problem. You know, who started it and taking sides. A diplomat tries to look at the broader picture and find the center ground and where there is a area for mediation or
You're
compromise.
supposed to be a peacemaker,
That's
ostensibly.
peace as opposed to war. I don't want war. I want peace. And
We
I
all
don't like
agree
it.
on that.
I don't like it when the United States, as you mentioned at the intro, Rhett, Biden is sitting there saying, "Oh, this war is terrible. The suffering and starvation is terrible. The bombing of these
Let me sneak
innocent."
you
Wait
over
a minute.
3
Wait a minute.
million, yeah,
Let me
3
finish.
billion, yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm going to continue shipping more arms. And Biden has continued to ship arms to Israel. They've been doing it secretly. They've been doing it under the radar, below the quantity that requires congressional notification.
And this probably
Now, is there
has
a
to
reason-
do with
wait a minute.
following the money.
Rhett,
In other words,
Rhett,
did you know
don't
that a
interrupt me.
Jew gave us
Rhett.
$1 million for the Civil
the
War,
bell?
not the Civil War, for the Revolutionary War, right?
Pass the bell,
I
Rhett.
bet you there's money
Rhett,
involved in this.
Rhett, you're changing the subject. We're
No,
not talking
not
about
really.
the Civil War. We're talking about this war.
Revolutionary War.
We're talking about this war. So don't change the subject and bring that bell over here so I can. We use the bell to let him know when he is.
He's
when-
going off tangent.
Nanny,
going off.
nanny, poo poo, I got the bell. Bring that bell over here. Bring that bell. Bring that bell.
Okay.
Ding,
Hello,
ding.
audience. You've now entered romper room.
Okay. The problem right now is as you said, Biden is saying that these terrible things are happening and we need to, restrict and roll back and limit Netanyahu's actions so that they at least protect the civilian population. We're going to get into civilian population a lot this morning if you guys can stay on topic and not get distracted.
Let's get roll. Roll to your point.
So-
Let's go.
so
I'm
the-
going to give you the bell.
Okay, Dad.
So the point is that supplying more weapons, which is what Biden is doing at the same time that he's talking about
do you think
restricting.
of that?
I think that is hypocritical. I think that is Biden speaking out of both sides
You're
of his
yelling,
mouth.
by the way, though.
Both sides of his mouth is hypocritical. And the American audience should know that. He is not. He is pretending that he is doing this little dance to the liberals and to the Muslim community in America and saying, "Oh yeah, we're not in favor of this slaughter of civilians." But at the same time, what is Israel using to slaughter civilians? American bombs, American fighter planes, and Israel is getting more of those as we speak.
Okay, so that's your point, and that's a good point, actually. So what I heard you say is that Joe Biden is speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Oh, go figure.
His administration is.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's never happened.
Well, fish
before.
stinks from the head down.
That's one could argue that about the Biden administration, that is their core life skill. They know how to do that really well. That's thing one. And I'm not sure. I agree with you. It's horrific. But you yourself made the point earlier on, and we were warming up the audience with our shot. You made the point that the Palestinians sort of have a right to fight back violently because they're oppressed and they have a history of oppression. So, and I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I'm saying, okay, let's apply that to Israel too. They have a right to fight back. Now, if as soon as they start fighting back because they're the bigger fish, it's like, well, why would a little fish like this try to attack such a big fish that has no chance of defeating? But we can create a lot of carnage, get them all whipped up, and then get the international audience with, except for the United States and a few other countries.
Well said. They had no chance of winning.
Unilaterally
Right.
aligned against Israel, calling it a terror state and comparing it to, I mean, it's ridiculous comparisons. And the United States, to your point, they went into the on our first point, they went on a very important United Nations Security Council vote to immediately demand a ceasefire in Gaza. This is all the nations of the world. And Israel has been for decades our most important and valued ally in the Middle East, if not the world. All right.
Why?
And they
Why? Answer me. Why is Israel an important ally in the Middle East and the world?
I'm
Tell me.
going to do it fast.
What
I'm going to do
value
it fast.
Hold on, let him
Because they are an ally in a dangerous neighborhood.
So?
That up until recently it was geopolitically important because of oil.
Up until recently, not now. Not now.
Because we've innovated our way
Yeah,
out
so
of
it's,
that.
we're
We
not.
do.
It's not now.
You want to solve half of the world's problems? Just start drilling American oil again. Bring down the price of oil. Drain the coffers.
And we don't need Israel. We don't need Israel then, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Prior to
No, but
this
that's-
war, no, we
that's
got to
right.
get into this,
Let him
David.
talk.
Prior to this, one of the precursors, well understood by most diplomats, and I know a couple other than you, but people that I talk to that are in the know, is that Hamas could not have, because just to the point that there were the United States, Israel was becoming less important than the United States, and they were teaming up with the Saudis to have a peace deal to try to increase trade and then also try to work on two-state solution type of stuff. Really good. Mortal enemies coming together. Hamas didn't want that. That's Hamas is backed by Iran. They are Shia.
Okay, can I
All
explain
right,
that?
But did they not? Hold on. Did they not expect? Hold
Let
on.
me
What
explain
did they
that.
expect? What did they expect Israel to do when they were struck like this? Did they think they
They
were going to
expected
slap
them
them on
to
the
fight
face?
back.
Wait a minute, wait a
They're
minute.
ready.
So
they
they
want
wanted-
them.
but did they think it
want
would be this
con-
severe?
The Hamas wants this
Let me-
carnage.
let me
More
explain.
dead
Okay.
Palestinians, the better for
Okay,
the Hamas
that's Jim's
leadership.
opinion. That's Jim's opinion. Let me explain about the two-state solution and the
Okay.
and the Saudi
Now, you spoke,
deal
let him speak.
and the
I'm gonna let him
Saudi
speak,
deal,
okay.
the so-called Saudi deal. This is
You have
part
exactly 3 minutes
this
and
is
10 seconds.
part of the
Hey Noah, could you get me a water? My
this
mouth is
is
dry from
part of
yelling.
the Abraham.
I didn't open this yet.
Okay, this is part of the Abraham Accords. You heard of those, right?
Yes,
That was
yeah.
what was done under Jared Kushner and a couple of rabbis, done not through the State Department, by the way. The Abraham Accords, which was a peace deal of recognition of Israel by some Arab states.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, none of those peace deals with those recognition of Arab states entailed any recognition of a state of Palestine. Palestine was cut out of that deal completely. And the same thing was going on with the Saudi deal, the proposal to establish a Saudi-Israeli brotherhood or relationship of some kind, but no inclusion of a requirement for having a two-state solution for Palestine. So the Palestinians were not happy with these peace deals. These peace deals left them further and further out of the loop. They were being shoved to the insignificant, irrelevant column. Okay? So that's why they did not like that. So yes, there is some suspicion that the timing of this attack was connected to the frothy potential of a Saudi deal with Israel.
All right. So that is a great point that David makes. A really excellent point. And I learned something. I love to learn new things. I did not know that a two-state solution was not part of that. That's a foolish omission. Okay. But so let the negotiations start. The Palestinians that are part of it,
The button
they say,
is
okay,
green.
you're not listening to us, so we know a way that you're going to listen to us. And they did what they did, and Israel has done what it's did.
Hold
We
on.
can argue.
I got to assume, did you see me press this button when we first started?
I don't remember.
Didn't you guys see me do that?
Are you saying they aren't recording any of this?
Oh, now it's on purple. Yeah. Well, we're being on video. We're on. He can take all the sound from
The video,
the
it just won't be as
Facebook, but
good.
it's an extra effort for you. It's in purple now.
I know.
So
Keep going.
I know. Okay, don't press it.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we could argue that, all right, that was a glaring omission from something that really could have worked. To be honest with you, I mean that's stupid, stupid. And,
Yeah.
and you should have brought the State Department in. That I'm going to
Heck is
cede that
going
point
on?
to you now. But now where we are is they did it their way. They got their attention. Israel has done what they've done. Let's say you had your druthers right now, and a lot of people would have their.
Haven't
druthers.
heard that
We're
word in a
gonna have.
while.
Israel's going to agree to a ceasefire. We're going to stipulate that ceasefire must include immediate release, unconditionally, of all hostages and accounting for ones that they killed or whatever, and that Hamas is no longer in power.
What about the two-state solution?
Yes, I'm going to say you're going to. This is the starting point. Now, from that stipulation, what's a two-state solution look like that can be successful?
See, that's the problem, Jim. This is where these people are talking around in circles, and
Which people?
the Americans, the Israelis,
But
and
you're king.
Now, let me finish. Let me finish.
King David.
I
You can do it.
could.
What would it look like?
The reality is Netanyahu
You want
has
a
to go.
two-state-
Netanyahu has to go.
No,
but
no. The reality is Hamas
Jim,
has to
Jim,
go.
Let him
Jim.
respond to what you're saying. Hold on.
Let me
Say that.
explain.
Write that down.
Let me explain why Netanyahu has to go. Netanyahu has said
You're
and he's-
arguing process,
He has been saying since
He's an eagle. That's why you want him to go.
he's been saying since 1993 and before, since the Oslo Accord and before, there ain't going to be any two-state solution.
Okay, all right. Let me amend my stipulation starting point. I'm
At
going to
least
amend.
he's honest.
I'm going to
No, he's
amend.
not honest.
I'm going to amend my starting point. All right, for you to come up, King David.
Yeah.
For your two-state
Don't
solution.
use
you
King
think-
David because that implies that I'm pro-Jewish. I don't want to say that.
Okay, King.
You're
Hopefully
going to
you're
regret
neutral.
that one day.
King John. How about King John?
You're going to be king for a day. We're going to stipulate that for a two-state solution, that there's a ceasefire. All hostages are immediately released from power or released from captivity and accounting for the ones that have been killed. Hamas is gone. They can no longer rule. They're dissolved politically, militarily, however difficult to do, but you got to do that.
Difficult.
Hold on. And that Benjamin not Netanyahu is gone. So now we got a clean slate. What are we doing?
Okay.
Now Israel doesn't have a man's man that'll have the guts to
no,
go
no,
against
no,
the
no,
proletariat.
Rhett,
Rhett, you were showing your obvious bias by calling Netanyahu a man's man.
And
I'm
you
calling-
are showing your
I'm
bias
calling him a genocide.
by not even wanting to be associated with the Jews.
I'm calling him. No, it's nothing to do with Jews. It has to do with Zionism and Benjamin Netanyahu being
For you,
a
Zionism-
But I gave you. He's
Hold on,
gone.
hold
But
on,
he's
let me
gone.
get- hold
You
on,
guys are-
hold on a second.
I'm trying to get to a solution
Can
here.
you guys
Trying to
act
talk about
even?
solution.
Can you guys act even remotely your age?
No.
Now here's the funny thing.
No.
Here's
this
the
is-
thing.
You should rename this
Here's
the
the thing.
school, the schoolyard
You know,
rock fight.
We're really three idiots here. You know why? Because
No,
we
no,
all,
no.
we
There's
all,
only
no,
one
no.
idiot here.
Because we all, oh me, because we all think.
Oh, what's that? Three Stooges. Him.
Him. So, no, but we actually are arguing.
Yeah.
And there's probably less than 100 people watching this.
I think they love this.
because they shadow banned
You
me.
got to get on, like you get on YouTube now. The mayor of the area, they're just tearing
But
each
I
other
will say
apart.
this. I will say this on behalf of what we are doing. At least we're doing something. And by the way, there is a history. I wish somebody would look
This
it
is
up.
important discussion.
We could actually
This
be
topic
heard by
is-
one young Jewish fellow, one young Palestinian boy, or male, female, whatever, that could change the world. The guy that used to run China was went to school in Boston and became a what do you call a pastry chef, and then ended up becoming the leader of the
Not
world.
China, you're talking about Ho Chi Minh.
Oh yeah.
Ho Chi Minh was Vietnam.
Oh, excuse me, Vietnam.
Yeah,
But
I
he
know
was a
things.
pastry chef in
Yes,
Boston.
for a time,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
my point being this:
Get to the point.
you never know who's listening, and this is important for the people who are viewing and
Yeah.
listening,
Yes.
because
To all
you
our
can
Jewish-
change the world. Each one of us can have an influence, because we're in here acting like rah, 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 and
Okay, but what you're saying though, right? What you're saying is the right thing. If I cut through all that fat and get to the muscle of your argument, is that this level of discussion,
Mm-hmm.
all right, where David is the worthy opposition, kind of defending the Palestine, and then you need that.
Yeah.
Right.
And he does his
yes,
homework.
they killed a lot of people, and yes, that you could say whatever you want about them as terrorists, and they fit the definition, but they longed for their own state too, and they were done dirty from 1947 on. We made a priority that the Jewish lives are more important than them, and if that's always going to lead to war if it's not
But if
listened
they
to.
did that, look, if you're a doctor and I've got cancer, he said, I'm only going to cut off half of it. In 1947, they should have just cut it out. When I get to Israel, have you been to Israel? I've been to Israel.
Yeah.
When you get there, I go, what the heck is that? And I thought this is supposed to be the land of the Jews. Then they've already let the enemy in here. Well, yeah, but I know Muhammad. He's a nice guy, and I know his family, so they can come in. I mean,
dude.
Jesus,
we
even the
all-
Bible says, come out and be ye separate.
Jerusalem was split halvesies, or has been evolved that way
Mm-hmm.
for a reason. It's right in a little pocket surrounded by the West Bank.
It's called
right?
East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem.
Exactly. Because the history of our earth, of Western civilization, in large part has run through Jerusalem at different times. And we forget. They never taught me this in high school history. They just called it the Dark Ages of Europe for 1,000 years. Guess what was happening? It wasn't the Dark Age.
Listen.
You had the Ottoman Empire
Yeah.
that ran Southern Europe, Africa. They had the new Roman Empire for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
They were benevolent rulers for the most part, as long as you don't have to convert, but you can go practice your Judaism over here, but don't get too loud. All right, and let's just focus on commerce and making money.
And don't
And
kill
we're gonna-
Muhammad's
No, no,
goat.
no.
You can kill your own
And
goat.
we're going to build libraries. It was, yes, they slaughtered.
You know, with all our intellect, why can't we all
but
live
they
in
didn't
peace?
teach us this. They didn't teach us this. So,
Remember Rodney, the guy who was beat up the truck driver? So why can't we all just get along?
well, you know what? I wish.
Are we
but
really that
everyone-
stupid?
When you're talking about 2,000 years of history,
Yeah.
it's very easy for someone to get to a certain point and point, no, before
You
that.
know whose fault it
before
was?
that,
It was
before that.
Sarah's fault. It was Sarah because she said, "I'm too old to have a baby." He went out and had sex with maidservant.
Well-
God gave his word that the young man would be the ruler, that Abraham's seed would be like the stars in the sky and the sand near the sea. And so now they got this other guy, and it even says that forever the Muslims will be a thorn in the side to Israel.
Yeah,
So he
and-
really represents the Bible here. That's his side.
I know, and to be
yeah,
honest,
I represent Dad.
and to be frank, Netanyahu also is using some of these biblical references.
Sure.
In particular, he has mentioned the.
You want him to go.
He
needs to go.
mentioned this guy Hagen. Hagen is at the time of
I think it's Hagan.
of Esther and the
Mordecai,
Mordecai,
that whole
Esther
thing,
and
yeah.
Mordecai.
That's
and
when they set up the gallows
that's
to
when
kill
they were
the Jews
trying.
and they would turn
That's
on
when
themselves. Yeah.
in Persia, the king of Persia was trying to.
Haman.
He was being encouraged.
Did you mean Haman?
Haman, yeah,
Oh, what
Haman.
were you saying? Haman?
Hagan. That's okay.
No, it's
it's
Haman.
not
It's
important.
Haman.
It's not
Okay,
important.
Haman. Sorry, Haman. Haman was trying to eliminate the Jews, literally to exterminate the Jews.
Yes.
And so Netanyahu today is referring to that as if this is the revenge of Israel against Haman. His actions in Gaza.
Did he bring up Haman?
Yes, he did. And he's also brought up the original people that were the ancestors of Haman, that were this particular tribe that
Acadians?
no, not the Acadians.
You know what's really weird? We weren't even babies a few years ago.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with anybody. Not him, not Netanyahu,
But
not
you don't
anybody
know-
who.
But this is why for all of you
We inherited
God-
all this mess.
God
this-
forbid all you young people out there that are getting ready to go to college, do not be
Oh.
afraid to get a history degree.
Right, exactly. There's so much to know about history and world history.
Why do evil people want to take? They always want to take away history. Like they're not teaching it now in schools.
Yeah.
Why? What is the benefit of not having children know history?
Because it confers power to those that want power. Those that seek power over. No, we're not talking about today, tomorrow, an election cycle. We're talking about
future dictator.
multi-generational power. Power like playing the long game, like China is playing with the United States. We go quarter to quarter measuring results. China is looking like 100 years in advance. So if you're going to play the long game, and right, and this is right out of the communist book, is you have to completely purge the system of any toxic elements, which would be intellectuals, people who think for themselves.
That's why the
It's
Chinese
like-
killed the
it's- that's
Tibetan
right.
monks,
No,
right?
yeah.
And they killed
And
the Catholic priests.
Then you rewrite history. You rewrite the history books. You tear them out. The kids, because you're going to fill the
Why?
funnel now with acolytes, with propagandists, people that buy it. That's the way it works.
Let me mention this, since you brought up that subject. We're going to do a little segue off track just for a minute. But it's a very important development. Netanyahu has, as of the last day or two, he has started declaring that Al Jazeera, the news agency based out of Qatar, which is
Very popular.
very popular. It's very popular in the
watch
Middle
it
East.
once in a while.
I watch
Whose
it.
news service are they?
They're from
Israel?
Qatar. No, a
They're
Qatar.
from Qatar, one of the Gulf Arab
Gulf
Emirates
Arab
states,
Emirates
those
states,
small
yeah.
oil-rich,
Right.
oil-soaked states.
Actually, that-
Dubai and all that stuff.
all
And
that.
actually, Qatar is where they're holding the peace negotiations between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
It's
It's
run
not
by
working too well.
I know it's not. We'll get into that if we ever get around to to time to discuss it. But what I want to point out is that speaking about revising history and dictators especially, Netanyahu has announced that Al Jazeera is now considered a terrorist organization and was involved in the October 7th attack. Al Jazeera, the news agency.
that's not
Now,
good,
what
right?
they're trying to do, what he's trying to do is
Who?
Netanyahu,
Okay.
he's trying to shut down all of the outside independent news reporting about what's happening in Gaza.
Okay, point taken. So I'm gonna reply with this.
Okay.
Okay, that might seem like an outrageous thing on its face. Okay, and I'll grant you that. Yeah, with no context, but just right before that, all right, we found out that there were, I don't know, 15, 20 United Nations relief workers working for the UN in Gaza that participated in those October 7th
No, we didn't
attacks.
find out anything.
We did.
We didn't
did.
find
Oh,
out.
the
You
UN.
heard-
The
you heard from
UN,
Israel,
No,
from
no, no,
Israel.
no, no, no. The UN itself recognized it. Yes, we.
No, they
yes,
don't.
yes, they did. Yes, they,
They
did.
did
I
not.
read
What,
it.
hold on, let me hear him. They recognize what?
They recognized that they had people inside the UN under UNRWA, United Nations
UNRWA.
Relief.
UNRWA.
It was a specifically small little agency whose sole job is to direct relief funds to Gaza.
Okay, and
That's
what about
it.
them?
They found there were members of Hamas marbled in because their headquarters of where their relief agency was in Gaza, big operation in Gaza, and that there were a dozen or more people that were responsible for giving aid that were actually helping Hamas. Some of them actually participated.
Okay,
in
this was
October 7th.
announced.
UN workers participated.
This was announced
killing
about
Jews
a
on
month
October 7th.
ago, 6 weeks ago.
we
That
know
was-
this.
No, we don't. That was announced about 6 weeks ago. It was released in a 5-page intelligence dossier. It's called an intelligence
By who?
dossier by Israel. And since then, there has been no further proof about the involvement of those people. The United Nations, UNRWA, did suspend those 12 people that were suspected or identified by Israel as being. Israel has since expanded that and has now claimed that, UNRWA is infiltrated with Hamas.
Okay,
And
but-
therefore, the Israelis have asked, and the United States has complied by cutting off $400 million of funding to UNRWA. Now, that UNRWA is the biggest organization in Palestine, and especially in Gaza, for supplying relief. So by cutting off that, they are cutting off the relief, the aid to the starving children and the starving families.
But all that aid is skimmed off the top by Hamas first, and then
Who
sold. and
told you
corrupt-
that? Who told you that?
They're corrupt. They're billionaires. The leaders of Hamas are billionaires.
Rhett,
You're going to
Rhett,
dispute
Rhett,
that too?
Rhett,
They're
Rhett,
billionaires.
Rhett.
They became billionaires
Jim,
through
calm
terror.
down, calm down. Yelling does
Why
not.
are they doing that?
Yelling does not make
Well,
your.
but I mean,
Yelling does not make
you're
your
a
point.
reasonable guy.
Yelling
but
does not
you're-
make your point.
Fair enough.
Yelling does not make your point. And
My wife,
what's your?
my wife tells me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were yelling earlier too.
Not really.
That's okay. We're
Oh
both
yes, you
animated here.
were. You were yelling earlier.
This is
You have
good radio.
sensitive ears.
But
You have
go ahead.
sensitive
But
I
you
just
see my
turned
point.
down my hearing aids because you guys are so loud.
Let me back off, and I'm sorry for that. Right?
No, don't be sorry. You're emotional.
I think reasonable people could look at the Al Jazeera as a terrorist organization.
Reasonable?
Okay, well, whatever. But here we're getting into the weeds. I want to go. Let's spend.
No, that's not the weeds.
Yes, we need to spend time.
Jim.
If you start with, well, these guys are wrong and always
No.
have been, then
Excuse me.
Yeah,
should
that's
we just
no
pick
good.
them up,
Excuse
put them in
me.
Manitoba?
I'm gonna explain-
They have a right to exist.
I'm going to explain to you why Netanyahu has suddenly decided today.
Today.
That Al Jazeera is a terrorist
He's
organization.
gone. We got rid
No,
of him.
no, he's
Who?
not. He's still there. He's
Get rid
still
of
there.
who?
Let me explain. He's not.
I want to
Netanyahu?
hear what we do. The most important thing to talk about now, I think, is what do we do when the decks are cleared? Hamas is gone,
Okay.
Netanyahu's gone, hostages returned. What
all
do
right,
we do?
I want
want
to
to hear the
okay.
diplomat talk about
Okay,
that.
Okay, let me guess. I haven't said something in a while, so I could say a little something.
Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of like the abrupter, the interrupter. I think looking at it from way back here, looking at God's hand. Now, don't be offended, but I believe Trump is the hand of God. Let me explain why.
God has
Let-
a seat at the table
Let me
here?
finish. I get to
Oh,
get to
please
finish
don't
here.
bring Trump in.
Yes,
do not
yes.
say he is the hand of God.
The
Please
Bible. You want to
do
buy
not
a
do
Bible?
that.
That's
He
that's
is.
Oh
Trump,
my
is
God.
that
Because-
Trump's Bible?
All right.
Can
this
I
is-
finish? I
this is
get
the-
to say.
this
You
is-
guys get to talk.
Go.
I get to talk without interruption.
Folks, this is the comedy portion of our.
No, it
No,
isn't.
it's not.
Go ahead.
Don't say that because I'm going to tell you something.
I go to hell.
Trump is not a politician. Trump is a big mouth, but he's the perfect person to set fire to the field. The Bible says, set fire to the field and see what comes out. Now, Netanyahu is, let's say he's extremely testosterone, aggressive, right? But in a way, I kind of look at this, I'm trying to figure out where's God's hand in this, because he's in charge of everything ultimately. So, because we had a lot of wimps. The last guy, who was the guy before that was in there, gave up some of the stuff, the land we gained in 1967. The day he signs, the next day he goes into a catatonic state for 8 years and then wakes up and dies that day. You know who I'm talking about, right?
No.
It's you don't know the head of Israel
The predecessor to Netanyahu.
who gave
was,
away Was it the
It doesn't
was
matter.
it Gaza or was it the
Well,
other
make-
place,
make
the
your point,
western, the
Rhett.
eastern
That
wall?
may or may not exist, but go ahead and make your
I don't know, but it took me so long to be able to get to talk without interruption that I've forgotten what my
See
point
what we're
was.
talking about?
Okay. By the way, going back.
It's a plot.
Going-
They got ear phones from the FBI. I know it.
Going back to this Baruch Goldstein issue that we talked about, which started this
I have a
conflict
friend
with,
named Baruch Goldstein.
which started with this conflict with
diamond
Hamas.
business.
The right after that Baruch Goldstein slaughter, and the next year, Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated by a far right Israeli
Yeah.
settler. Okay,
They're
Now,
animated.
What I'm
Half the population
animated.
doesn't.
They are not half the population of Israel. Okay, they are not. But the Israeli settlers community, and this is a problem. Americans don't understand this. Our audience out there, I'm assuming, does not understand that we have a lot of Americans who are sending money to support settlement expansion in Israel, which is essentially provoking the Palestinians. Every time you see new settlements pop up, right now, I've said this before on the show, 750,000 settlers of Israel are living on the West Bank. The West Bank is designated as part of the Palestinian state when the two-state solution kicks in. So what happens to those 750,000 settlers? What they're trying to do, the settlements are trying to abolish the possibility of a two-state solution.
All right, hold on.
By facts on the ground.
Hold on. This is good. Now I'm going to go back to my original point, which we still have not gotten yet. You're going to be king for a day.
Yeah.
I'm going to add to what we've already established.
Right.
Clearing the decks. The war stop, ceasefire, permanent. All the hostages returned. No questions asked. Accounted for. Hamas is gone, politically and military dissolved magically. Very difficult to do.
It'll never be gone.
Benjamin Netanyahu is dissolved magically. He's gone. You get a liberal Jewish president representing the half of the population that kind of votes that way.
Right.
And then what was it? And on top of that, so this is like we're building blocks here for you. And on top of that, we're going to get the 750,000 settlers that were in the West Bank.
Out.
You're out. Can we have a peaceful two-state solution after that? Because don't
Yes.
ask for more. You're asking
Yes.
for way too much.
No,
now.
it's not. I'm not asking for way too much. That's even.
All right,
that's
so-
barely getting back to parity.
So that's
when someone
yes.
has illegally taken 750,000
How much
settlements,
land- how
and then
much-
you're saying giving it back. Oh, that's giving them too much. No, that's not giving them too much.
How much-
That's returning what they should not have had in the first place.
How?
Those people from the settler community should not have been there. We in America, by entitling, and I said this on the show the last time, we are actually giving tax breaks to donations to groups that are funding illegal settlements in
Let me
Israel.
ask you this. Okay, let me ask you this now.
That's ridiculous.
My turn.
Yeah.
So the Jews were kicked out of Jerusalem years ago.
Jerusalem?
Jerusalem, Israel. They
You're
were
talking
kicked out of
Say
there.
years
Israel.
ago.
Yeah,
Hundreds of
Israel.
years ago. And so now the Jews they've been people hate the Jews. I don't know why. I'd like to know that. But people hate the Jews in Poland. They hate blah, blah, blah. Now, I've never heard of the world hating the Palestinians. Have you? The world doesn't hate the Palestinians. So finally, I don't know how this all went down, except the Bible says, and listen to this, fellas, the Bible says, I, the Lord, in the Old Testament and the Torah says, watch me, I will make a nation in one day. And in 1948, that came to pass. So if you want to mock God or think that things don't come true that are in the Bible, there is. In one day, I, the Lord, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will make a nation in one day. Okay. So now
How
the
does
Jews,
how does the Lord of hosts
the Jews,
create a two-state solution?
the Jews are all kicked around. So finally,
I want an
they
answer
say
to my
we're going to give. Let me finish. We say we're going to give them this land, like it or not, even if it's not that's wrong. Take the Palestinians. You're going out into the desert. You're going to go, and that's just it. We're doing it.
we get
okay.
your point.
So okay,
Make your point.
So we're the
So you're saying this land is
how come the Jews were picked? The
dude,
Jews, the
let's
Palestinians
finish
were never picked on, were they?
Let's
Were
finish
they? I wanna know.
You believe that Israel, the land that comprises Israel,
yeah.
is right should be rightfully inhabited by the Jews because it was given
Without
to
a
them
doubt.
by God.
Without a doubt.
Does any of that allow?
So I
for
guess
the-
I'm a
for the
Zionist.
non-Jewish people that live there, that grew up there, that are of Semitic tribes, just like the Jews.
It's
They're
very
all part of
complicated, isn't it?
Semitic kind of culture that sprung
Yeah.
up out of the Middle East.
Then you got the
What
Hasidic
is-
Jews,
what
you
is-
got the
what
Reformed
does-
Jews who are Jews.
Dude, what does God's law say about them?
What does it say? I don't know.
I don't know. You're telling me you're invoking Sharia law. It's going to be Rhett Palmer of
Sharia.
The United
Real,
States
I'm
of
not
Rhett.
sure.
It's
Right?
a Jewish form of Sharia law.
Yeah, we're going to rule
It's a
by the
Jewish
Bible. What does
Sharia
the
law.
Bible say? Well,
I
it says
think
it's
that the
Israel, yeah,
Bible
rest of
says
you
that
should be
God
slaughtered.
repented of having made man. He should have just wiped them out instead of giving the salvation vehicle and just like, oy vey, look what they do with each other.
Jeez,
Yeah.
I mean, where is the love?
that's warfare.
Where is the
So
love
you
said
get
was
everything
mine,
with
oh
the
mine,
750,000
to
Yeah.
the
settlers moving back.
Okay.
Do we have a two-state
Noah
solution?
has something to say.
You
Hold
might-
on.
you
We've
might
got
have.
we got a 26-year-old
You might
who's
have.
well educated in here.
Saying that your whole God repented of man keeps getting used out of context because he said that right before the flood happened.
The flood.
So
he
he-
did in fact wipe
Policy
people out.
period. Should we go
Are,
back
are
and
you
history
sure about that
far?
time zone? That
Yeah.
timeline. Great. See what I mean? That's
Yeah.
true. So God was fed up with man.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
before the flood.
look-
that was before the flood.
You know, it is so. Oh, what a
I wanna
web
talk
we.
about-
You
talk
know,
about that. The flood theory. That's interesting.
No,
let's do a National
no. Hey,
Geographic.
this is an international relations program, and if you will allow me, guys, to get off the religious pillar, and
Describe
I'm
the
gonna,
solution.
whoa, why
I'm
is
going to-
why is
Rhett,
my
Rhett.
faith on a pillar? I didn't put myself up on a pillar.
Rhett,
that is a negative thing to say. Leave my
look at-
bell
see,
alone.
he's-
Go get your own bell.
He's a dictator, right? He puts it there that we use communally, except when he doesn't want to use it.
No.
okay, okay, we're gonna have to move on to another topic here if we don't allow me to finish up on this last point. About this first question that we started out on in this morning, which we've been wandering around up and down the hill and back from ancient history to modern history, is whether or not the U.S. should be supplying weapons to Israel today, under the circumstances that they have been using those weapons in the past 6 months to bomb.
You say no.
And I'm saying that it is time for Biden to start restricting the supply of weapons to Israel under conditions, and we have actual regulations for the what's called the appropriate use of weapons. When we sell weapons or give weapons, we have provisions under the foreign military sales provisions of
What would
the State
weapons
Department.
be used for other than killing people?
The question
Making
is,
bread?
it's called
But you're
civilian.
okay. We're going to make some bread.
Okay, listen. It's called civilian harm mitigation. There's a law.
I understand.
Civilian harm
Minimize
mitigation.
civilian casualties, and they
And-
are.
okay.
No, they
No,
aren't.
Yes, they
They
are.
aren't.
Hold
I
on.
need
What's the
proof.
word mitigation mean?
Mitigation means
Make less of.
it means to
Reduce.
to solve or
Reduce.
reduce.
So say the
To
word.
solve or
Say the whole
reduce.
thing together.
Civilian. It's called the
Civilian?
civilian harm mitigation response, and we
So
have
to
civilian harm.
diminish.
Let him.
We have, this is a Department of Defense and Department of State set of rules called the civilian harm.
Why didn't we do that during the Germans? How
civilian-
come we
that
look
rule-
at Dresden? Look
Rhett,
at.
Brett, that was not there then. We passed this law in 2002. It's actually a regulation.
Tell us what the law says.
The regulation
to the
says
point.
that the Department of Defense has a rule called Civilian Harm Mitigation and Response Action Plan, which was passed in 2000.
We don't care when it was passed. Tell us what it says.
2022. It says that it's a systematic approach to monitoring where
What are the metrics?
U.S. arms will cause civilian casualties. So the United States has that as part of DoD.
Like Vietnam.
No, it
No,
has.
read the text
I
of it.
No, I
Is it-
will. It has the Department of Defense. Our military has a requirement. You cannot go out and blow to smithereens a bunch of people.
Show me
we
the
have.
text. Show me the text.
Yeah,
What
you
we're
can
You're
look it up.
yelling. You're yelling. Both
I have
of you.
to because you
But
guys
see-
keep interrupting me.
But see what he's
Stop
doing.
interrupting me for a
Okay.
minute. Let me speak for about 2 minutes without interruption.
Go.
Okay?
You know what we should do? I got an idea. Why don't we bring in a clock here? You get two. Ding.
We'll
you
never-
get two.
This
This would be
Ding.
like chess. This would be like chess.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is
Be like-
it's a clear.
You
It's
would
a,
be out immediately.
it's a clear set of rules that we have.
I wouldn't.
We have a clear set of rules for the U.S. military on protecting civilians. No, it did not happen in Vietnam. No, it did not happen in World War II. You know, we
Make
did.
your point.
We made our
Make
efforts.
your point.
The reality is, you're interrupting. The reality is that we have under the State Department a way to review when we sell arms to foreign countries, to review if they are using those arms appropriately and in a way that reduces civilian
Yeah,
casualties.
you can only blow off their legs.
Rhett,
you can't
you're
blow off their
interrupting.
heads. It's terrible.
You're interrupting.
the
Everybody.
We can't regulate
I'm
war.
getting to the point if you don't interrupt me.
All right, yes,
okay?
sir.
I've got to have that bell. So, Anyway, the State Department's calculation is called a determination. A determination. All right.
What's the calculation?
Now, the determination is, unfortunately, that the State Department does not have a way of tracking where the weapons go when they're sent to Israel to the IDF. So we don't have a way of knowing whether those weapons are being inappropriately used or not.
But what defines inappropriate?
Inappropriate is
What's inappropriate?
Inappropriate is if you're killing civilians who are not participating in what's called
What did
obvious.
Hamas do when they came over
Rhett,
the border,
Rhett,
killing moms and
Rhett,
dads and
we're not-
grandmas and grandpas?
Rhett,
It's
we
nothing
don't
to do with
expect
it.
we don't expect Hamas. We're not supplying Hamas with arms. We're telling Israel, or we're supposed to be telling Israel, if we give you
Who
arms,
is
you're
supplying
not.
them arms?
I
Wait a
just
minute.
want the definition of
If-
appropriate.
If we're appropriate, this is the issue of the only
If you don't
appropriate.
define, if you leave it gray and squirrely, right?
No.
If you leave appropriate just very nebulous and so on, then that can mean anything you want. We know how laws are written. I know how laws are written intentionally to provide that wiggle room for whatever you think it is.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
Give
let
me a-
him answer.
Hold on.
I'll give you a couple.
I want to see a civilian.
I'll tell you a couple of clear
civilian
examples.
to a combatant
I'll
ratio
give- I'll-
compared to other
yeah,
wars.
yeah, I'll give
That's
you-
what I want.
Now you said your piece.
No,
Now he gets
I'm
to
gonna give you-
respond, wrong or right.
I'm going to give you two examples, which we're going to talk about later after the break, and that is the Israelis firing on a Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria. It's known that they fired on the embassy. The Israelis are saying, no, it was a building connected. It wasn't the embassy. It was the embassy. It was the consular section of the embassy. I've worked in embassies. The consular section is usually a little bit outside the main office building because you have a lot of people coming in applying for
So
visas.
what was it? What was
So
the terrorist
the-
general doing there? In
It
that
doesn't
situation?
matter. You don't whether a terrorist general was there or not. You don't attack an embassy. Period. Dead. Period.
Okay, now
End of war.
I got it.
I
Hold on.
agree.
Now I got something
No,
in the
no, I'm
middle.
not
of it.
finished.
Now I got to put this in now.
I have not finished.
Let
I
him-
want
let-
to.
he's-
I want to finish my second
Let him
example. I'm giving you two
How come
examples.
nobody questions where
I'm
Hamas is
giving
getting
you-
their
Rhett,
guns?
Rhett, you're changing your subject. That's
No,
not
I'm
irrelevant.
not.
Nobody's asking. We're not supplying weapons, and therefore there's no rule of whether we should allow this mitigation process or review process for Hamas. We're supplying to Israel, and Israel is violating our laws and violating international laws. Attacking attacking any embassy directly is violating the law.
What about who's giving
Rhett,
Hamas
no,
their
what
guns?
about? Forget about-
Who's giving
Rhett,
Hamas
Rhett.
their guns? No, who? How can we
Rhett.
talk about it in
Rhett.
USA? Who is
Rhett.
giving Hamas
Rhett,
guns?
what we're talking
Who
about-
is giving
Rhett,
Hamas
the
guns? No, I'm
country-
not going to stop to answer me.
Rhett.
Who is giving Hamas guns?
But if you
Who
be-
is giving Hamas
Rhett.
I'll
guns?
give you the answer.
Rhett.
What?
That's not the question. The question is whether Israel, we've really upset him. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, and I think you guys should calm down and realize this. The question we're talking about is whether we should be providing Israel with weapons when Israel is using those weapons in totally illegal ways. Totally illegal. The second totally illegal way that they used the weapons was this attack on the World
What
Food
about
Kitchen.
Iran
Rhett,
giving
stop.
guns to Hamas?
Rhett, you're interrupting me again. The second example is the Israeli jets firing on the World Central Kitchen. 3 vehicles of
Well, I
World
know,
Central
yesterday,
vehicle.
yes, we
it
saw
happened
that.
yesterday.
Yeah.
These vehicles, which were clearly marked.
We also
with,
have friendly
Rhett, you're
fire.
interrupting again.
No. Forget about that.
I wanna
There's
finish my
friendly
point.
fire.
That's not friendly fire. That was intentionally aimed at those.
How do you know?
How did they hit?
How are you judge and jury that it was intentional?
Excuse me, but
Who are you to judge? It's intentional.
how could you hit 3 separate
How
vehicles
could you say it was
with
intentional?
precision targets? You think that was just an accident?
How did it look? The Jews in this war killed 3 beautiful young men that had escaped from Hamas and killed them. You think there are 3, just like 3 vehicles, 3 men? I mean, no.
Yes,
but this
yes,
stuff happens.
yes.
For you to say it's intentional is wrong.
Rhett,
You
you're
can't
taking-
judge that.
Rhett, you're taking. If you want to reply to David, in my opinion, you're taking the wrong approach. I hear you. You're using a globalist. Well, what about them? What about them? You do have to get into the minutia of things to really understand like where middle ground lies. So, to David's point, he's saying that Israel is making I still need a definition for appropriate, which I haven't gotten, but he's saying, but Israel is breaking our laws by using weapons that we think, because weapons are fungible like money. You put $1 in here, just like Iran says, no, our money doesn't go to support terrorism. Money and weapons are fungible. They're going to be used. So Israel has done clear violations of it's use of the weapons and United Nations by targeting civilians, saying that this World Central Kitchen Relief worker, because they're targeted munitions, we don't miss like in World War II. You just drop them. We know exactly what we're going to hit, and we hit it. The problem, and you could say the same thing for Damascus and Syria. All three of these fall into this rubric where, yes, hospitals are considered to be off limits. Embassies are considered to be off limits, and humanitarian food trucks are off limits. The problem is Hamas understands that.
And they've been using the hospital.
And that's where they put
The
their
hospital thing.
And that's where they put their people,
Yeah.
because they know this legal infrastructure and how to manipulate it, right? And it's they don't care about their own people, or if they are, they're just cannon fodder. It's like, oh, we'll make more like Palestinian babies, but this is the fundamental root of the problem. David is completely correct in what he's saying about the targeting of these, but it's in response to a known that they put their people and their military in places that
I wouldn't be surprised if
international
Israel.
community will be
Let me
outraged
say something now. I wouldn't be surprised if Israel, if they did strike them on purpose. You said you or know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they struck that. How do you don't know that? Now another thing is, so if let's say they did think that those were the bad guys, they were Hamas in those trucks and not the UN workers or whatever those people are that feed people and stuff. You know, I mean,
They
the
must have
boundaries.
suspected- they
The
must have
boundaries are very. Did the Germans?
let me argue with
The Germans. No, I don't want to.
I'll
We're going to
take
take a
your
break.
point.
Yeah, let's take a break.
We're going to take a break. You're going to get some more water because you
I'm gonna
drank
get some
my
more
water.
coffee.
Get some more coffee.
I
Do
don't
I
think you
play
need- I don't
the
think
ads?
you need more coffee.
Yeah, I do.
That's
Do I-
good radio. I don't
do-
care what anyone says.
Do I play the ads?
Hi, I'm a golf enthusiast, and I love Big Shots Golf on US 1, next to Advanced Eye Care. I was at Big Shots recently and had a great time playing a virtual 18-hole golf course. Big Shots also serves really good food. The mini cheeseburgers are my favorite. I love the ice cream, too. For a fun time, bring your friends and family to Big Shots Golf on US 1.
Indian River County, roll with us, recycle.
It's hard to recycle, right? Pizza boxes, milk cartons, dog food bags, frozen food boxes, to-go cups and lids. Where do they all go? No worries, there's an app for that. Download the Carter's Corner app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit indianriver.gov to find out if an item is recyclable in your blue cart or not. So eliminate confusion at the cart and recycle right with the Carter's Corner app.
The Rhett Palmer broadcast is brought to you by Complete Electric Complete Alarm. Get your generator checked now before the next hurricane strikes. Call the good folks at Complete Electric Complete Alarm. You'll be safe and sound when the next hurricane strikes. Call Complete Electric Complete Alarm.
Hi, I'm Renee Fiore. I own Tropical Restoration Services. We do water damage, mold damage, fire damage. You have a toilet overflows. We also do leak detection to find where the source is at 772-217-7422. That's the phone number for Tropical Restoration Services. So call me direct, Renee Fiore, Tropical Restoration, 772-217-7422. We will find the source of your problem and fix it.
The Rhett Palmer broadcast is brought to you by Complete Electric Complete Alarm. Get your generator checked now before the next hurricane strikes. Call the good folks at Complete Electric Complete Alarm. You'll be safe and sound when the next hurricane strikes. Call Complete Electric Complete Alarm.
The Minutemen answered the call during the American Revolution. Now, Minuteman Press answers the call with custom print and design services designed to promote your business like nobody's business. They lead the charge, but never overcharge for great design, print, and promotional materials. Minuteman Press in Vero Beach and now in Port St. Lucie. Ready to answer the call. Google Minuteman Press or visit pslminutemanpress.com.
They say you sleep a third of your life. So why is shopping for a mattress so important? There's a mattress store on every corner. But when you visit the Mattress Market store, you'll find Steve and his family, in business for 35 years, waiting to help you find the best mattress at the best price to give you the best night's sleep. All the major brands: Serta Perfect Sleeper, Simmons Beauty Rest, Posh and Lavish, Urban Loft Ice, Pure Latex Bliss, I Love My Pillow, Kingsdown, Biscayne Bedding, and many more. US 1 right next to Waves, Mattress Market in Vero Beach, for a good night's sleep and a great deal. Mattress Market.
I know you want to have a beautiful smile. Well, an examination, radiographs, a healthy cleaning would normally be well over $200. Gosh. Right now, for $79, you can call Plains Dental Arts, 231-6004. It's all included for $79. The examination, the radiographs, the healthy cleaning. Okay, call Plains Dental Arts. Make your appointment right now, 772-231-6004. Takes care of gingivitis, takes care of halitosis, gives you a great healthy smile. You get a thorough examination. Plains Dental Arts, just south of the Village Beach Market on A1A. Again, $79 for the examination, radiographs, healthy cleaning, 231-6004. Call now, 772-231-6004.
Indian River County, roll with us, recycle.
It's hard to recycle, right? Pizza boxes, milk cartons, dog food bags, frozen food boxes, to-go cups and lids. Where do they all go? No worries, there's an app for that. Download the Carter's Corner app on your mobile device at Google Play or the Apple App Store, or visit indianriver.gov to find out if an item is recyclable in your blue card or not. So eliminate confusion at the cart and recycle right with the Carter's Corner app.
Hold on.
The Minutemen answered the call during the American Revolution. Now, Minuteman Press answers the call with custom print and design services designed to promote your business like nobody's business. They lead the charge, but never overcharge for great design, print, and promotional materials. Minuteman Press in Vero Beach and now in Port St. Lucie. Ready to answer the call. Google Minuteman Press or visit pslminutemanpress.com.
Hi, I'm a golf enthusiast, and I love Big Shots Golf on US 1, next to Advanced Eye Care. I was at Big Shots recently and had a great time playing a virtual 18-hole golf course. Big Shots also serves really good food. The mini cheeseburgers are my favorite. I love the ice cream, too. For a fun time, bring your friends and family to Big Shots Golf on US 1.
I know you want to have a beautiful smile. Well, an examination, radiographs, a healthy cleaning would normally be well over $200. Gosh. Right now, for $79, you can call Plains Dental Arts, 231-6004. It's all included for $79. The examination, the radiographs, the healthy cleaning. Okay, call Plains Dental Arts. Make your appointment right now, 772-231-6004.
Okay, coming up to the ad break.
Takes
Come
care
on.
of gingivitis, takes care of halitosis, gives you a great healthy smile. You get a thorough examination.
Coming up to the ad
Plains
break.
Dental
Come on.
Arts, just south of the Village Beach Market on A1A. Again, $79 for the examination, radiographs, healthy cleaning, 231-6004. Call now, 772-231-6004.
AE Stalls Real Estate and Associates is a hometown family company. Josh and Mandy Stalls, along with their two sons, have deep roots in this community. As a boutique brokerage, they are located steps away from Vero's beachside
Okay, so we're going to go to
They have a strong
number
team
3.
of realtors, the tools,
when we
and
start out.
experience to guide clients to the closing table. Helping clients feel
We're gonna do
confident
number
in the
3.
buying and selling
Start with
market
number
is
See,
what
Noah
they do.
represents
You can reach
the young
them at
people.
stallsrealestate.com,
He's 26. I can remember when 26 was an older man.
772
But he's upset.
800
You know what? We need to bring peace to this.
They say you sleep a third of your life. So why is shopping for a mattress so important? There's a mattress store on every corner. But when you visit the Mattress Market store, you'll
Hold on a
find
second.
Steve and his family, in business for 35 years, waiting to help you find the best
Well,
mattress
they'll
at
see
the
it.
best price to give
I
you
will.
the
I'll
best
get
night's
it.
sleep. All the major brands,
this is
Serta
just
Perfect Sleeper,
no,
Simmons
no,
Beauty
no,
Rest,
no,
Posh
this
and
is a different
Lavish,
issue.
Urban
I know
Loft
what
Ice,
you agree.
Pure
I know
Latex
what you
Bliss,
You don't know what
I
I'm
Love
gonna
My
mention.
Pillow, Kingsdown, Biscayne Bedding,
Did
and
you
many
get more
more.
water?
US 1 right next to
Okay.
Waves,
Okay, I gotta have
Mattress
one more.
Market in
It's
Vero
not open,
Beach
right?
for a good night's
Oh, no,
sleep
that one's
and a
open.
great deal. Mattress Market.
That one is.
Do what you want, man.
Sure.
I think.
Okay, thank you.
I think
Oh, we're back
diving-
on. Hold on. We are back on. Do I press the red button? No. Okay.
So introduce us.
All right, so here we are. Yeah, we had a certain card that ran out, but we're rectifying that, and Noah's taking care of it. Good. Welcome back. I'm Rhett Palmer, and we have left our guns at the door and our knives and our other stuff.
Brass knuckles.
Yeah, breast knuckles. There you go. And so we have former U.S. diplomat David Hunter in the studio this morning. We have entrepreneur James Feeney, F-I-N-I, which is but pronounced Feeney.
Yep.
And I'm Rhett Palmer, been on the radio 29 years, and probably the least informed guy of the three of us. This is a magazine we put out in Vero Beach, Florida. Now, if you're listening around the world, you'll have no need or no want. You can go online and read this, though. And if you are in Indian River County, we're always looking for sponsors. You can help us out. We are, according to MailChimp, the #1 read e-magazine. We also put it out in print version. Obviously, this is a print version, so you can get it online. By the way, today's broadcast is brought to you by Center for Advanced Eye Care in Vero Beach, Florida. 8 doctors that genuinely care about their eye care. When Dr. Mallon started 24 years ago, he sponsored my show. Didn't have a magazine, then sponsored the show. Later on in the magazine and the show now for 14 years. But when my mom was alive, that's where she went. That's where I go. That's where I recommend you go. This is it. Center for Advanced Eye Care. I would not endorse unless I thought they were exceptional. I wouldn't do that to you, honestly. So anyway, great doctor. Matter of fact, I want to get him to do my cataracts before he gets too old to do my cataracts, because he's in his 50s now, I believe. Okay, so anyway, we got a lot to discuss here. We're going to go to number 3. Number 3 is Israel F-35 jets fire missiles at Iran's embassy in Damascus, Syria. Okay, so reports on April 1st described Israeli jets firing upon Iran's embassy consulate section in Syria, killing at least 5 people. Israel is claiming the strike killed General Zaidi?
Zaidi, yeah.
Zaidi. Oh, good guess, huh? An Iran Revolutionary Guard commander responsible for Iran's coordination with Hezbollah. Do you go somewhere? How do you always know how to pronounce the names?
Yeah, sometimes you guess. Sometimes you guess, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you say it wrong once in a while. And I know that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like today there was something, I forget what it was,
Okay.
but you know. Oh, Haman. You said Haman.
Hagen. I said Hagen instead
Oh,
of...
Hagen.
Yeah.
That's Hagen-Dazs.
Hagen-Dazs, yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
He's getting impatient
so
over
what was
here.
the question? The
Well,
last part?
So the last part of it, the question is, go to command responsible for Iran's coordination with Hezbollah. Was he legitimate target even when inside? Okay, yeah, a diplomatic facility. That's, you know about that.
Right.
We're not supposed to strike diplomatic facilities?
Yeah, this is where what I'm trying to explain. Israel is approaching what I call rogue state behavior. When it attacks a diplomatic facility, an embassy, when it attacks schools, UNRWA workers, hospitals.
Well, that's not fair about the hospital. We know that has.
I understand, and we want to discuss that. This is an important topic for us to discuss.
All right, let's.
In what point does a strike constitute a violation of international law? Okay, that's the question. Now, clearly, in this view, when you bomb an embassy of another country, that is an act of war. Whether that embassy happened to have visiting it what you call a known terrorist, Keep in mind, a lot of the world does not consider Hezbollah, and a lot of people in the world do not consider Hamas to be terrorists. That is a definition the United States is using, that Israel is using, but it is not an accepted global definition.
And the United States actually called its own citizenry who went to protest on January 6th home terrorists.
Okay.
And have not been afforded the counsel of a lawyer.
All right. Well, the
Words
issue,
are fungible, just like money and
the issue. Well,
And fungible means what?
can be used for any purpose.
Yes. The problem
Words
is
are fungible.
The problem is that when you
And
define
doesn't mean
somebody
and
as a terrorist or a traitor, I should add that as another term. These have political and possibly legal implications. Political and legal implications.
Okay.
So, so at any rate, I think the what we need to analyze with this attack on the embassy of Iran in Syria is this was essentially an attack on Iranian property. An embassy is considered the property of the country that it's representing. So if somebody blew up our embassy in Islamabad, that would be an attack on America, just like blowing up a city in Vermont or in somewhere.
Stay away from Vermont. I'll be there in the summer.
Anyway, it's a direct attack
It's
on.
supposed to be fun, I guess. Glib or whatever.
So what Israel has done is directly attacked Iran by
terrible.
attacking with this and there's.
Good.
Whether
But
it
you
was,
can't understand why they're pissed off, because Iran is giving money to the bad guys here, Hamas.
Okay, now what I'm trying to explain is this is a major escalation. It was seen as the Middle East Institute think tank described it as a major escalation in a conflict between Israel.
Well, did we not
and
become the
Iran.
world's greatest terrorists, purportedly, when Truman sent over that atomic bomb and said it escalated to the point where we said, screw it. We're going to take this whole area, mommies and daddies and babies and children,
Okay,
and
Rhett,
they were made into dust in a moment.
Rhett,
oh my God!
You're down the rabbit hole again. Okay, we
No,
want to
it's a-
stick.
I'm talking truth, though.
We want to stick on the
No,
topic
that's a good
of
point, Rhett.
Israel. Israel, by attacking this embassy, is expanding the conflict in the Middle East. It is increasing the risk. The Iranians are now saying that they may decide to attack Israeli.
So
Now
you-
listen.
Okay, no, let me say one thing. Then tell me what you think. So really, what we should have done is after the attack on the 7th, right?
We?
Yeah.
We, the United States?
No, me with the Jews.
Oh,
what
you
we
with
should
the
have
Jews.
done
Oh, you're
is
speaking
we
in
should
my-
have taken an atomic bomb like Truman did and blow it all up.
No.
And then we'd be sitting here today. There would be no Hamas.
No, that's
But
that's,
all those beautiful
Rhett.
children and mommies and daddies would all be gone.
Rhett, that's the most absurd.
Well, we did it in
idiotic-
Japan.
That's the most absurd and
We
idiotic.
did it in Japan.
It has nothing to do with it. There's no similarity
If
whatsoever.
this keeps accelerating,
Rhett.
that would have saved millions of
Rhett,
lives.
Rhett,
Because if we
Rhett,
go into
fir-
World War III, we're doomed, baby.
Rhett,
You
first
don't
of all-
nuke what's next to you
first of
because
all-
radiation.
Yeah, first of
Let
all,
him talk.
the situation of
Someone shoot the piano player.
the situation in Hamas in Gaza is a occupied territory of Israel. Okay, it is not a foreign country. It is not even. It is a occupied territory. It is the case of the occupied people fighting back against the occupier, the Israelis. That's
So
what it
you
is.
justify them killing the women and children.
I'm saying that after
In the
after
kibbutz.
75 years of occupation, and brutal occupation at that, and if you analyze what the Israelis have been doing to the
Then I say we study history. To the victor go the spoils.
That's wrong.
Wipe them out.
That's wrong.
Nope. That's it.
Rhett.
Wipe them out.
Rhett.
You got
Wipe 'em out.
somebody. No. You have to say. No. God drives the law in
Yeah.
the sand. He
Honestly.
told Saul to go kill the Amalekites, the women, the children, their animals. Saul didn't do it. He says, "You've lost." The prophet Samuel said, "You have lost the favor of God today because you didn't do what God said." And he said, "Lest they be a thorn in the side to Israel forever." Well, look what happened. God again wins.
Rhett. I'm arguing that the attacks that Israel is doing now are violations of international law, and I want to point out that this is rather troubling to me because
Fine.
I agree
the
with you.
State Department, and Jim agrees they are violations of international
what
law.
do we do now? But we
the
keep
Jim-
talking about it.
oh,
So-
wait a minute.
so what?
The State Department is
My-
the State Department is refusing to acknowledge that they are violations of international law.
what?
No, this is
So
important. When you say so what, the
So,
point is
I'm on
we
Rhett's
are giving.
side. Maybe we should just take the Palestinians once and for all, put them in ovens like they did in Auschwitz, and get rid of the problem. Yes, we got international law. I understand,
Okay.
David. You're making the point that we got international law, and like a lawyer, you're going through it, all the definitions. I've moved beyond that. How do you solve the problem? Yes, Israel's a bigger state. They can wipe out Hamas if they want, and it's going to be ugly. And you may not like it, and the UN may not like it. So what are you going to do? You're going to send NATO troops into Israel to get them to stop?
You know what? It would
No,
all
that's not gonna happen.
it would all be moot now if they
No,
sent that. If
there's
they'd done
a
an
NATO
atomic
there.
bomb,
Let's
it
go
would
to
all be
war with
moot.
Israel. Let's
It would all be
everybody
moot.
Hamas.
waving their hands and yelling.
No, let's get
and we
Hamas.
all lower our voice,
Let's
lower our
join
voice and
and
calm
To the-
down.
to the victor go
let's
the
join
spoils.
Hamas, let's wipe
No.
Israel off
Might
the
is
map.
right at least.
Excuse me. Let's all speak in a calm.
I think
rational
Israel
way.
just, you're right, ought to do it.
You're
They just
asking, yeah.
screw it. I think
Okay.
that's why. I think that's why God put this guy in.
That's how
He
things get
finally has a
sometimes.
general.
I personally,
This guy,
When
what's the
words,
guy,
when you
Netanyahu.
cannot agree on the words, then you say, let's just get our guns, because that's
personally
final.
hope
That decision's final.
I personally hope that the audience out there is pulling their hair out by listening to you. And in listening to this, Jim actually suggesting genocide, saying let's just wipe
I
them
just
out.
want you to make
let's
a
wipe
point.
them out. I'm going to make a
That's
point.
what
Let's
they
move beyond
hold on.
this.
I'm
I
going
think,
to-
though, because if you
that's-
don't have an end game with the
I have an end
negotiation,
game. I
then
have
what's
lots
the
of-
end game?
I
Because
have
they said
lots
the
of-
same thing. They said
No,
they
no.
want
I
Israel
have-
to be
dude,
gone.
excuse me.
Let him talk. We
I
only
have
two of us
I
ganging
have
up on him.
there
Let
there are
me be the
lots of
proxy.
there are lots of there are lots
floor
of
is
ways
yours.
there are lots of ways of there being an end game. One of the end games would be to revisit the whole Balfour Declaration assumption, which is that Israel has a right to live in the Middle East.
Okay, let's stop with that.
You're
So-
interrupting me. You asked me a question.
but
Let me
that-
finish my point.
That's fine, go ahead.
I'm starting to
Write
get
it down,
irritated.
then.
I'm starting to get irritated.
you're not starting. You've
No,
been
I'm,
irritated.
no, I'm not. But I'm getting very irritated when I can't finish my points.
Okay.
So one option would be to say the Balfour Declaration is invalid. Herbert Samuel worked with Chaim Weissman of the
What
World
is that?
Zionist
What is that?
Congress.
Explain
World
it to we
Zionist
the people.
Congress.
What is
The
that?
Balfour Declaration was
let
what
him go.
allegedly gave the right to Israel to return.
Who had the power to
The
give
British,
that?
because they had the British mandate.
Did the Brits own
The Brits,
Palestine
the
at that
Brits
time?
controlled. They didn't own.
The
but
sun
they
never
controlled.
sets on the British sun,
No,
right? Or
They
British,
controlled.
Yeah, the Romans didn't own Israel, but they controlled it.
And in this case, the British controlled the British mandate of Palestine.
when did that happen?
That happened about at the end of the Ottoman Empire when it was defeated in World War I. Okay, and
It's all very
That's
interesting,
how far
isn't
we
it?
have back.
Yeah.
That's how far back.
I mean,
we
if you
gotta
step
go.
aside from it emotionally,
What he's saying
it's
is
like,
completely
oh, my word.
non-practical, completely unworkable. But
No,
I'll,
it's
let you,
not.
I'll let
Okay,
you go ahead and
so-
continue
so,
with it.
And let's keep this in mind. Keep it in perspective. There are only today 7 million Jews living in Israel. 7 million. That's not a lot. When you think about,
What's the population of Israel?
about 14 million.
So half of them are Muslim.
Half of them are Muslims.
Because I've seen some nice, very intelligent
And
lady.
they run a pretty tight shop.
Now, when I
Great
say-
economy.
Now,
in
wait.
the same desert, no water. They
Now, wait.
figured it out.
Now, wait.
That's why it's
Actually,
people hate him.
Saddam Hussein
There's a
had
lot of
peace
sh-
between the
yeah.
Shiites and the Sunnis.
What
How
I-
did he do that?
When I say 14 million, I'm
he
talking
was
about
evil.
14 million, including the West Bank and Gaza. If you combine that, that's 5 million in
Whatever.
the
Israel,
West. Now wait. Listen to the numbers.
too
Do
much
the
minu-
math.
too-
Do the math.
too
Write
much
this down,
minutia.
Jim. Listen
Write
to the
this
math.
down.
You
He wants you to write
lost
this.
me on
5
invalidate
million-
the Balfour Agreement.
5
You
million.
lost me there.
5 million Jews are living in. I mean, Jews.
7.
7 million Jews are living in Israel. Israel, the state. 5 million Palestinians are living in the West Bank, and
5 million.
5 million, and 2 million are living in Gaza. Okay, so that makes 7 and 7. So if you combine the whole area, of,
How did they decide who was going to live in the Gaza Strip?
that was at the end of the 1967 war that they.
So
Basically,
was it vacant land then?
No, it
Here's
wasn't vacant land.
Here's so just
Yeah.
let me do a little historical diverge. So really interestingly, so when I'm in church, I read the Bible mostly. I don't listen to stuff going on. My wife gets really mad at me, right? I just listen to the sermon. Good speaker in the pulpit, very important. And we're lucky at Community Church of Vero Beach to have a history of really good speakers and pastors. Anyway, but I've flipped
Community
through the
Church
Bible,
approves of,
and in the St.
approves
James,
of,
in the St. James,
murder of babies.
well, be that as it may.
You don't, do you? I hope.
No, I don't. No.
Does your wife? Yes.
Okay, let's not bring that
Please,
up.
that doesn't matter. Now you're interrupting me, and that's a cardinal sin. Right at the beginning of the beginning of the St. James,
Shoot the piano player.
the St. James version that they use, they actually put some history in it. They say here's a map of what the Holy Land looked like.
Yeah.
Here's what Samaria is, and here's Lebanon was this, and so on. The Gaza Strip, interesting. This was on Easter Sunday. I saw this.
Yeah.
The Gaza Strip was carved out, and that was where the Philistines lived. The Philistines, Goliath. That was the same Gaza Strip now that you see,
Really?
same geographically. Just
That's where the giants lived.
That was the Gaza
The
Strip.
Philistines.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, actually the area of Gaza and the Philistines has been
So
there.
were Philistines Palestinians, essentially? The same
well,
lineage, blood lineage?
It's all a Semitic tribe.
all of them are considered Canaanites.
Yes.
I have a book I'll bring to you next week on Canaan and Canaanites.
Did you ever see that there was a book out on war? Now, does man just not have anything better to do than war? I mean,
Yeah.
what would we do without
We're
wars?
changing the
No, I
topic.
wanna
We're
know.
talking about the
Is
Canaanites.
there any possibility of
No,
peace?
he's not going to answer that question. He
Rhett.
wants to get to what he
Yeah.
wants
Okay,
to.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a
I
solution.
know we're going
but
to
it
get a
starts with
solution, and
Balfour
it
validate
does.
Balfour.
Let him
It
talk.
Where are
starts
we
with
going from
Balfour.
there?
Yes, it does start with
How
Balfour.
many minutes do you want before he gets to ask you about
No,
Balfour?
I cede my time to him because I want to make us. We'll come back again tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
because
We've got
I want to hear his
half an
argument.
hour today. We can go to 11.
Go
we
ahead.
can go to 11?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. That's
Good.
And we can use that
So
extra
get
time.
rid of Balfour. What's next?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if we were to revise the concept of the Balfour being a legitimate principle, and Chaim Weissman and the World Zionist Congress,
Don't
which,
go into the weeds.
which
Just get
pushed,
to the
which
bullet points.
pushed the decision of Israel needs a homeland in.
If we can't get beyond
Sorry.
this, because I completely disagree with you on
Okay,
this,
if-
but what else have you got?
No, I want to explain to you. Chaim Weissman and the World Zionist Congress decided that where they want to settle all of the Jews to protect them from the pogroms that you described earlier in the show was Israel, a state of Israel. That is not necessarily where the Jews need to go.
But that's what's happened. The British Empire was the strongest empire at that point. That's what they decided. We're not going to go back and revisit
yes,
that.
we are. Yes, we are. If you,
All right. Well, okay.
Wait a minute.
Which that's not realistic. They're not going to change that now.
Rhett.
I want to explain to you.
I'm
it is
trying to
realistic.
test this guy.
I just explained to you. I just explained to you. There are only 7 million Jews living over there. We have more than 7 million Jews living in America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
We have more Jews here than we have over there. Why not take all of the Jews from there to that area? They're never going to be safe living in that area. You say, oh, they're threatened. They're threatened by everybody in the area. They're never going to be safe. They're going to
And
be
God is showing his mighty hand.
and
Look
therefore,
at King David, who went against the Philistines.
Rhett.
Guess who won?
Rhett,
Oh, hail the God of David.
Rhett, they did not have an option of moving to America back then. I'm saying that they
It
could.
ain't ever going to happen. I can speak on behalf of my Father in heaven. He gave that land to Abraham for that, his promised land to Moses.
For religious. You're
I
speaking
am.
for
I
religious
am.
Zionists
I am.
who want to take land that was already occupied by the Palestinians, throw them off.
And Jews. There were plenty of Jewish
No, there weren't
tribes.
plenty of Jews.
There were plenty of Jews there. Was it?
You
But
don't
not a
know.
majority.
You
Yes,
don't
they
know.
do.
Not a majority.
There were Jewish
Jim,
tribes. And
don't
Bedouins.
raise your
They were
voice.
all
Let me
Bedouins.
explain.
But you're saying stuff that's not true, David. Come
What
on.
I know for a fact. I've studied this far more than
You
you
don't
have.
think there were any Jews there?
There were 5% of the land was
So
owned.
what? 5% minority.
Wait a minute. 5%.
It's a remnant. God said, I will leave
Rhett.
a remnant and I'm going to return them.
When
God wins.
Jim says there are plenty of Jews there. There were 5% of the land was owned by Jews, and actually even that was a disputed point. The British, under the British mandate, were only limiting a very small number of Jews to come back into that area because they knew that it would upset the Arabs that were living there. Okay, and the plan originally was not to have a Jewish state. It was only to have a Jewish territory within the greater Palestine.
Now I'll
that
tell
they
you.
could live.
Okay, now
that
I
was
get to
not
tell
a
you.
Jewish state.
Now
There was
watch,
no plan for a
watch.
Jewish
I
state.
speak on behalf of my father. And
Yeah.
watch this. Do you know the Dome of the Rock?
Yeah.
Okay. Biblically, that's going to be gone when Jesus comes back. So I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. God's letting all this noise and all this flutter.
Yeah.
And then watch. Israel was created in one day. Now, I'm making this part of it up. I have no idea.
Yeah.
God in one day could end all this.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get off the biblical thing. Then let's go
No,
back to
no, I'm not going to get off the biblical thing. That's like these idiots that call me from John's Island, and they say, oh, why don't you say Jesus for Sunday? This man, a wealthy man, they follow my show. I said, sir, someday it's going to be nothing but Sundays. You know, you guys, dude, you need to hearken and listen to me. You think that today is your day in the grocery store and you're making money in your investments. All your crap is going to be thrown into the fire. Everything you hold high esteem for is going to be thrown into the fire because God will prevail. And you better nuzzle up to him. And you better get God. And it's only going to happen not through reading the Bible.
Well,
it's going to be by getting on your knee into satellite positioning.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're dead, boys.
Okay.
All right, this is turning into church now.
Yep,
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
And
All
it
right,
should.
It is. Now, I
It
wanted.
is
I
church.
wanted
It's
to,
all church. It's his church.
Well, I don't want to be part of a show that's all about church.
Jim had
See,
a question.
You're typical of the
I'm a guy
island.
that goes to church. I don't want to be part of a show
It's
that's
not
all
part
about
of,
church.
It's all
Yeah.
part of church.
Okay.
Well, then,
all right.
you know, maybe we need
All
to
right,
get part
Jim-
ways. I don't
Jim-
know. I want to.
Jim
these guys
had a
making
question.
Good points.
He had a question. I just mentioned the Balfour Declaration, the idea that Israel could move out of Israel,
Have you
abandon
contested
Israel.
that yet?
Wait a minute. Abandon Israel. They could live safely in the United States. We could make it the Lone Star of David's state in Texas. They could live there. 7 million would not be a burden on America. We would benefit from the brain interest
But
of
that's
all
not
these people.
gonna happen.
Wait a minute. You're telling me something you don't know.
Oh,
Not
I
gonna
do.
happen.
It's not going to happen. I promise you.
I'm telling you that if they continue to live in Israel, they're going to continue to be in a constant state of warfare as long as they live there.
Yeah.
They're never going to solve the problem. They're going to
Yeah.
be having to defend themselves against Lebanon. They're going to have to defend themselves against Iran. They're going to have to defend themselves against Syria. They're probably
Let me
going to
tell
have
you,
to
they
defend
move to Texas, their enemies will come there next.
No, forget it. No, so that's one option. The other option would be to, and that would be an ultimately peace-saving option. 7 million people, that's not that much to bring over to the United States.
So you're calling this option one for the
Option one.
audience.
Option one.
Option one from David Hunter is
Move
really
'em out.
invalidate the Balfour 1948 and move all the Jews in Israel, purge the Jews of Israel,
purge them.
and then move them to
Well, that is- no, that's the purging.
move them to Montana.
No, move them to Texas.
Texas. Texas.
Texas.
Make them.
He wants Montana because he's got land there and he can sell it.
I want them to
Oy
move
vey,
to Vero
such a
Beach.
deal.
I want them to move to Vero Beach because what you be taking is some of the world's highest concentration of talent, money, fighting spirit. I want those people. I want to send 7 million.
You can move to Texas.
Here's the deal for the American people, because David's brought up a good thing. I will take that deal, right? Bring all those Jews back here to the United States. Bring them to Vero Beach and come live at my house. We'll start companies, the likes of which you'll never see. The Middle East can become medieval again. Go back to Sharia law. You have it. We'll innovate. We don't need oil anymore. You guys can sink into hell for all we care.
Go back to your horses you were riding 80 years ago.
In exchange to my fellow Americans, the exchange that we get is we're going to send 7 million, deport 7 million people that came into this country illegally over our southern border, gone. We'll do first in, first out basis accounting, FIFO, first in, first out, or last in, first out, something like that.
Actually,
I'll take that deal. Out you go, and then we build the border wall and don't let anyone in.
And by the way,
except Jews.
I mentioned this before, that if the Jews were
And let them attack us.
if the Jews were to settle in Texas and have what you call limited sovereignty over Texas, they would be very efficient at protecting our border
Let me
against
tell you something.
immigration.
You know what no one
Because
ever
they're already
speaks
good at
about?
protecting
What's
borders.
option two?
Okay, option two
Option
is
two.
what would be called the two-state solution. The real two-state.
They were offered
now,
that
Jim
and turned
mentioned.
it
No, wait a
down.
minute. Jim mentioned that I can explain.
It's not going to happen.
I can explain with the weeds why the two-state solution has been rejected in the past. One of them is the right to return. That was one of the Yasser Arafat issues. The right to return was rejected. And
What do you mean the right to return?
I've explained this before. I'll explain it one more time. All of these people, you have 3 million Palestinians living in Jordan. You have in Syria, you have Palestinians.
What's the guarantee that those 3 million that return don't just attack Israel 10
From
years
the
after
inside
they let
out.
them in? Because that's been the history.
Well,
Let's be
if
frank.
they had a independent state and they came back to that independent state, that would be they would not have the motivation to attack.
What's the
Israel.
land split?
Okay, the land split in this case of a two-state solution would be for the Gaza to be a part of Palestine and the West Bank to be part of Palestine. Those are
With Israel in the middle of all that.
Now I actually have a proposal, and you can note this down. This is not something that anybody at the State Department has come up with, but it's my own idea. Is that we could, instead of doing a two-state solution, we do a three-state solution. We would make the Gaza Strip into a separate emirate, just like you have the little tiny emirates all over the Middle East. You could make the Gaza an independent emirate. Gaza is going to become a rich petrostate. It has a trillion cubic feet of natural gas off its shore. I've talked to you about that before. So it could become a very wealthy little island state.
Offshore? How far offshore?
It's about 5
Well,
miles
this
offshore.
is what good Jewish people thought was going to
So you're
happen
going
when
to
they.
drill in the Mediterranean.
They're already doing it. They're
I was
already
talking.
drilling
Hey, I
in the
was
Mediterranean.
talking.
Yes, they
This
are.
is what the good Jews thought was going to happen a few years ago when they gave the Gaza Strip to these guys, but they thought they were going to
Well,
prosper.
the good Jews immediately imposed an embargo over everything going in
So
and out of
you're
Gaza.
putting them all clustering together.
Well,
so
I'm-
you're saying the same Jews that really wanted them to prosper also did that. Stop doing that.
Well,
that's a wide brush.
I'm using that when you use the term good Jews, because the reality is that
Well, you
since
don't
the
believe
time-
there are good Jews.
No,
I
I'm
think.
saying that since the Gaza Strip was withdrawn from settlers, it was not granted the right to become a state of its own. It did not have its own port. It did not have its own airport. The people of Gaza could not come and go as they want in and out of the area. It was basically a big prison, an open-air prison. And that's how it's been described.
You know what I would like to have? I'd like to host a national TV show, special, just like these debates. You would be there. We'd have a representative of the history of Israel. We have a representative. In other words, it might be 3. You're allowed 7 minutes, and then you have to shut right up. Then he gets to talk for 7 minutes and refute or whatever they do. Then the other guy gets to it, and let the people decide. You know, wouldn't it, I keep thinking about a Saturday morning where I think that we could fill up a stadium locally and just put the truth like teachers would do. This is how we said.
Okay,
and then
Rhett,
let the
let's get on
people
to
decide.
Let me answer the
But it's not
question
gonna-
Jim asked.
they're never
Jim asked the
gonna do
question about what would be the two-state solution. Now, if this two-state solution, and I suggested a three-state solution as an alternative, where that would solve this problem of the split, because that's not a good solution. Having a split between a state where another state is in the middle is not a good one. That was the problem with West Pakistan and East Pakistan in India. That original division.
You're getting off
I know, but I'm trying to explain. But anyway, the two-state solution would include Gaza, and which has historically been a Philistine area going back millennia, thousands of years.
You're confirming my history lesson.
And it is, yeah. And the West Bank, which would become the main
It's
Palestinian
too late.
state.
It's not going to happen.
The main Palestinian.
You're wasting our
and
time.
what would happen?
It's nice to
what would
dream
happen?
on.
It's not too late. Instead of you judging,
It's not going to happen.
you're making a judgment without even listening.
I am.
To me,
It's not
okay?
going to happen.
You know,
It doesn't matter.
The American government does not agree with you, Rhett. The American government says a two-state.
Actually, they do.
No, they
because
don't.
Biden is running for office. He's saying one thing, but they're doing another. And that's the U.S. government. And they could put an end to it if they didn't want to. Let me tell you something. The decision. I'm going to tell you something. Watch me.
Yeah.
The decision has already been made.
By whom?
To annihilate all of Hamas. You're not going to see it end. You might as well go home. It has been decided by powers that run and rule. The necks that turn the politicians' heads. It's already been decided.
Yeah. Okay. You're
And it's a shame. What I don't know is why didn't they just put in say, everybody in Israel, get to the other side of it because we're going to blow it up.
Yeah. Why don't we put them all in a gas chamber?
Just
Rhett?
like we did.
Yeah, why don't
just
we put
like
them all in a gas chamber?
What about the Japanese? What about the Japanese? What about the beautiful people that were killed? They made for peace.
The reality is that what Israel is doing with this starvation plan is the equivalent of what the Nazis did
I don't
in World
agree
War
with
II. It is a Nazi program. That Netanyahu is engaging in Nazi-type genocide by starving the population.
What about what we did in
the fact that,
what's that town?
The fact that the World Food Kitchen, World Central Kitchen was targeted, and now they're shutting down.
Don't know.
And now they're shutting down.
Oh, that's a supposition. What's the word? Presuppose.
It is not a presupposition.
No. You just telling me that I ate a liver because I'm doing it for this reason. I want the B vitamins. Maybe I just like liver. You don't know that they did it on purpose yet. The truth has not come. The dust hasn't even settled. I'm sorry that happened. It's very bad.
You know about the Flower Massacre? You remember the Flower Massacre?
You're talking about the one at Kane State?
No, I'm talking about the Flower Massacre of February 29th in Gaza, where these food trucks bringing flour on the food trucks were attacked by Israeli troops. As the food was being distributed, they killed over 120 people, shot them with cannons, with machine guns.
Okay.
All of the aid workers were killed.
That
was a month ago. That was a month ago.
So yes, yes.
Now, that's,
and I guarantee you, if I'm a betting man,
Yeah.
and I usually win when I bet. I'd bet a lot of money
that Hamas
right,
was in
that,
those
that you had Hamas in there. Now, were they all? No, they weren't. There might have been 2% of those aid workers, 3% that were Hamas people, to guarantee that aid went to where they said, some to the people, but mostly to the soldiers. And that's why Israel said there's no way that we got to kill these guys because we see what they're doing, but there's no way that we can limit civilian casualties, or we're going to do the best we can to limit it, but we need to kill those guys. They chose to embed themselves in a humanitarian vehicle, and that's been part of Hamas strategy forever. And it makes... all of that is what makes David's point, because it flies right into they're not idiots. The Hamas leaders, they're billionaires, remember. These people
they're impervious to all this too,
they
right?
know how to play.
They'll live. No matter what happens, they get to live.
Basta, as we say in Italian, that's enough. Basta. All right?
Basta,
Basta means enough.
Sufficient. Italiano?
Yes,
Basta.
shut your mouth. Right.
È stupida.
The Hamas leadership and Iran.
don't talk like that, you gotta bring
And the
lasagna.
Iranians, they play chess while we play checkers. David's playing checkers, right? These people play chess. And as soon as we realize that, then we can be effective. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anything else on your
Yeah,
option 2?
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. By the way, I should point out that that Mr. Hagari, that's the spokesperson for the Israeli self-defense forces.
Daniel Hagari.
Yeah. He has admitted that the Israelis were wrong about all these underground tunnels under the Al-Shifa hospital being used as Hamas headquarters.
He was wrong?
He admitted that. He just admitted that he was wrong about that. He said that they have just finished a 2-week siege of Gaza, a new 2-week siege. The first one was, last year. And they have been engaged in another major siege. And he says, well, we suddenly realized that was our information, our intelligence was wrong, that Hamas is using underground tunnels under Shifa. That was the reason why they attacked Shifa in the first place. And now they're saying, well, actually it turns out that they use the hospital wards themselves, not the underground tunnels. Okay? So this is, for the audience out there, keep this in mind.
Just so I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying Daniel Hagari, I think I saw this, that was a PBS interview, and I've also seen interviews by other Israeli Defense Force, non-retired people that refute that. But let's say that you're true, that's true. They were wrong. But Hamas was in the hospital wards. So Hamas was there. They didn't get the exact location right, but they were there.
Okay,
right?
I'm just trying to explain that these are monumental errors by
I wouldn't
the
say though. I would disagree that they're monumental.
I mean, we heard
you characterize it all you want. They're in the hospital.
We
Who
heard
cares?
this. We heard this over and over again when they first attacked the Al Shifa hospital. Oh, they've got a major command center underneath, and they're all connected to tunnels. And the reason why Hamas is
weapons of mass destruction.
That they're using the hospitals.
Saddam Hussein.
That they're using the hospitals as their command centers. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm saying that Israel is using the attacks on hospitals just like it's using the starvation tactics as a way to wipe out the Palestinians. You say wipe out Hamas. No, they're trying to wipe out the Palestinians. There's no way to differentiate. And therefore, their solution is, I don't want anybody left. They've actually made statements. Some of the far-right members like Smotrich have said, we are going to reoccupy Gaza and we're going to make it into a fertile land of gardens for Israelis only, meaning that they want to eliminate Palestinians from Gaza. 2.4 million people that live there, they want them out, dead or gone.
There's 500,000 Palestinians or something like that are Israeli citizens that live happily in Israel, make great livings, and so on. So your contention that Israel is some sort of a genocidal state, it just falls down on the facts. Israel, they have their own Palestinian wing in the Knesset, right? And they side either way, liberal sometimes, conservative sometimes, but they have to be reckoned with. So the idea that Israel wants to wipe out all the Palestinians is just simply wrong.
Well, the Zionists want to get them out of there.
Zionists, that's great. You know, we have people in the United States on the radical ends of our parties. One of them believes that we should have some form of Sharia law too, Bible-based on the right. And on the left, they want to tear down everything and have a communist police state, throw the Constitution out. We have that kind of crazy. But you can't, you as a diplomat know that you have to find middle ground. That's what I've been trying to do here. I'm trying to get you are clearly an anti-Zionist. I get that. And doesn't mean you're anti-Semitic. You see this, all the root cause of this problem going all the way back to 1948. We can argue all day about that, right? And we can argue, you had an option one, which is completely untenable. Option two is the only kind of real thing that can work. And let's just talk about things that can work. And you have an independent Gaza state. I mean, I'm going to spend some time actually on a blog going through this because this has been so good. I'll do it from my side, and you're happy to respond. I've got a little reply at the end of it. You can attach your white paper, and I'll make sure people read it. But this is something to work with. Something to work with. I would say just as a critique of negotiating skills, and I've never been a diplomat, but I've negotiated lots of business deals, and it's not that different. You don't put options on the table that are impossible because those become kind of threats. You better take this because otherwise the Americans going to roll the tanks in and we're going to move you all to Texas, which I already gave you my deal for that. I'll take it if we can do this. But the American left in this country would never let that happen. So let's deal with stuff that can actually happen. Option 2. I don't know how much time we have left, but focus not on causes, but on the solutions. As soon as we dip back into everything that's on your agenda, these causes,
have 10 minutes.
It opens up the box. I want to cede him the remaining 10 minutes on the floor if that's what he needs to, in detail, say what is a workable.
Well, I have not ceded my.
Okay, let's give him
wisdom.
5. You get 5.
No.
Yeah.
Who wants to be last?
Yeah, and actually
Rhett, you can be last.
When
you go
men-
now.
When you mentioned the American left would not like to have all the Israelis move to Texas, that's not really true.
I didn't say that.
No, that's what
Oh,
Jim
he
just
said
said.
no.
And the reality is that the majority of Jews are Democrats, left wingers.
Which shocks me.
The Jews in America mostly came out of Eastern Europe. And they are liberal, and if not,
That's about as smart as these homosexuals
Liberal,
that are,
excuse me.
pro-Palestinian when the Palestinians will kill them in a
fact,
flash.
I mentioned before David Ben-Gurion, who he's the first president of Israel.
Yeah.
He was a Leninist Zionist. Leninist, meaning he supported the Bolshevik concepts of Lenin.
I mean, he liked the Beatles. No, I know.
No, he supported the Bolshevik concepts. And the kibbutzes were originally part of this extremist socialist.
I'm back
extreme
in the
socialist.
USSR.
So
I've been at a kibbutz.
I know,
I've been to Israel.
and that was where everybody has equal ownership of the property. That's communism. That's communism.
Yep.
A commune and a kibbutz are the same thing. A commune is where the word
Absolutely.
communism comes from. And many of
The Pilgrims attempted communism when they first came to the land of America. And do you know that they almost went out? They almost died of starvation because they were saying, "Oh no, Billy Bob,
Okay,
don't you
all right.
till the ground." Old Samuel up there, you've done the most of the work. They almost starved to death the first winter. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Communism
That
doesn't work.
That was some of the reason.
Okay.
Really bad winter,
Yeah,
Indians,
there were
pestilence, plague, all that shit too.
There were lots of reasons why they had trouble. Yes, I can talk about colonial history if you want to do that. My ancestors came over here in the 1640s, Rhett. Okay, and they actually.
Ooh, he's a pilgrim.
Yeah,
My ancestors came in the turn of the last century from Italy. We were immigrants. Back then we were the dark races. I get it. No Italians allowed. All right, we all go through that. Yeah,
Okay.
come on.
Yeah, the
I
Mezzogiorno.
wonder if Jesus, or whoever. If we had
My wife's from your people.
If we had a,
She's
okay.
second ship after.
Hey, it's my turn. You gave up your minute.
Well, he's
so
frittered his, so
I
you're gonna
wonder.
get the
I
5
wonder
minutes.
if
Go
we.
ahead.
I wonder if we had a supreme dictator, how would he handle this whole thing that's going on in Israel?
Render
now?
to Caesar.
Yeah.
A good Caesar.
Well, actually, they call that the Red Caesar. There is a.
What's that mean?
The Red Caesar is actually there's a major ideology circulating around within the conservative wing of the Republican Party,
The MAGA wing.
which is promoting
What?
the concept of a Red Caesar replacing
Benevolent
democracy,
dictator.
replacing democracy,
With
meaning with a dictator, a Mussolini type. It's a Mussolini, and there are actually people that are promoting that. The
please, not
Claremont-
Mussolini. He was an idiot.
There are 10 people that wrote a white paper.
No,
about
it's not that.
yeah.
The Claremont Institute. Claremont Institute? You've heard of them?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Okay, the Claremont Institute's a very influential group of thinkers inside what's called the Republican think tanks, like the Hoover Institute and all that kind of stuff.
So you're saying the Claremont Institute
has promoted the red cardinal, what did we call it? The red...
Red Caesar.
Red Caesar. And if you Google Red Caesar, you will find out more about that.
So
particular.
when you say the Claremont Institute, which is a free speech institute, by the way.
Claremont is not associated with Claremont. It's in California, but it's not associated with the university. There's a Claremont graduate
We
school.
know that.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
unneeded detail.
All right.
So, but if one guy wrote an article about Red Caesar, does that qualify that the whole Claremont Institute is promoting the Red Caesar?
No. And
Okay, all right. So we're going to be, like I said, words are fun. Money's fungible, weapons are fungible, and words are fungible.
And ideas are fungible.
Yeah. Well, those are words, right?
Yeah.
I'm fungible too.
You are fungible. That means you swing both ways.
No.
Should I put sex as fungible?
Sex
Yeah.
is fungible.
Okay.
No.
So if we get back to Jim's option 2,
this
on
is
the
your
thing,
option
yeah,
two.
my option 2. the idea is, and I don't want a red Caesar in America. Nobody wants that. We need to forget that. That's a bad idea.
Whether it's a left-wing red communist Politburo or a
we are better off
I
having.
think the best things happen when the proletariat all vote and are allowed to really vote, and the votes count.
Yeah.
Democracy works.
I
don't know how it works,
That's
but
our
it works.
unifying principle here, democracy.
And we still shouldn't use the term.
We the people.
And Israel's a democracy, by the way.
We should not use the
Palestine
term.
isn't.
We should not use the term proletariat to define the man on the street.
It's not a pejorative
Yes,
term.
it is. It's a communist term. Proletariat was. If you read the
He's right.
Well,
You
I'm going.
stipulate you're right.
Well, I'm
He's
sorry,
right.
but guess what? I'm alive now. They're dead, and I'm changing the meaning.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Proletariat means the common working people like me. I was a shoe shine
The
boy in
solution
Poughkeepsie.
the
You know,
solution
I could have
becomes the
gone
problem.
on and done made a
Rhett.
lot more money than I'd made doing this,
Rhett,
but I chose to be part of the people rather than going
Rhett,
out and selling
Rhett,
life insurance for the better part of $1 million a year.
I disagree, comrade.
Comrade.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're getting ugly
Spasiba.
now.
Spasiba. Oh, that's right. You lived in Israel. No.
I
You
lived
went to. You went to.
No, I lived in Ukraine and I visited Russia and I speak Russian.
Did you do your honeymoon in Russia?
No.
Like Bernie Sanders?
I've been to Russia. Have you been to Russia?
I'm never going to go to Russia.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
I'm never going to go to China.
You talking about
don't,
that
no,
guy?
no, don't
that-
say never.
Are you talking about that liberal guy of Jewish background named Bernie Sanders
Yes, that's the one.
that visited Russia?
One and the same, Squire. One and the same.
Okay.
Well,
now-
he's anti-capitalism,
now,
but
you
at
know,
least he admits
suddenly,
it.
Suddenly, it's a crime to go to Russia if you happen to be Jewish and you're
No,
an
no,
American.
no.
But in reality,
That was
most
comedy.
of
That
the
was
most of
comic
the
relief.
Jews that are in Israel today are from Russia. or Ukraine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pogroms. You
That's-
know,
they are.
hey,
From,
Yitzhak, we got to get out of here. They're killing everyone in the village next door. We get the kids and get the fuck out. Come
Yeah.
Don't swear like that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay. So one of the
You know
one
what's
of
doing?
the,
That guy that has Rogan, he's the one that brought all the
We need
swearing.
more comedy in
We
this.
don't need.
I'm trying to
one
bring
of the-
comedy.
Yeah,
one
but
of
we
the-
don't have to swear to be.
all right.
That's not funny.
One of the
Get
solutions.
bigger audience though.
This is
No
of course.
thanks.
This is not
Go
going
away.
to,
If you like swearing, go to Rogan.
this is not going to go down very well with those people living out there on the West Bank that are of Jewish persuasion. But all those people, the 750,000, who have gone in 20 years from
We have that.
70,000 to 750,000, they all have to move out. They have to move out.
All right, so that's part of your option.
You each have 30 seconds for saying
all
goodbye.
right.
Okay, that's
and what
important.
I'm going to say is that all of those Palestinians in Gaza that have had their buildings blown to smithereens, they're going to move in.
Okay, grab your waters, gentlemen.
They're going to move in. So that will provide instant housing, rebuilding housing, because you don't have housing in Gaza. That's all been destroyed. Those places are going to take at least a decade
Water.
to
All right.
rebuild.
Coffee.
So your option
No.
to
Move the Gazans to the West
You
Bank
issue.
and make the West Bank a Palestinian state, and that way at least the
All
Gazan
right.
area.
So what do we do?
You
What,
solve the
how,
housing
how
problem.
does your option to, in exchange for peace, right? Because
In exchange for peace, yeah.
So
peace.
what is your option to say? All right, that works for 10 years. The Israelis say yes to that. That's and
Okay,
you
I'm gonna
might
take this back.
you might
Thank
get
you.
some Israelis that would support most of this. I think, but I don't know if it's a majority. But let's say it is. What do you do in 10 years?
We'll have to talk about it next week.
No. What do you do in 10 years when you have the independent Gaza Emirate state that's oil soaked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And they're investing in nuclear weapons because they're their own state. And they're investing in weapons for the final solution against Israel.
I'm going to
'Cause they're
end with
playing
my
the long
jingle.
game.
I'm going to end with my jingle. Because I like my
I
jingle.
leave your audience with that thought.
Because I like my jingle and I want them to hear it.
See, your assumption is that the Palestinians just
Okay.
hate Jews because they're
Okay.
Jews. Okay, that's
Hey, say goodbye, fellas. Goodbye,
We're talking
fellas.
about power.
Okay, we're off.
Imbalance.
Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves, is ready to go. Talking to people you want to know. Face to face, one on one. Get the story and have some fun with Rhett Palmer.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.